pointer.
I thought it might be something else.
No,
It's a pointer.
a whip.
All right, we good?
Gives us the
You're
thumbs.
live.
Yeah, you just did. All right, good evening, Litchfield, and welcome to the June Conservation Commission meeting in pursuant of RSA 91-A2. We'll start off with a Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start off with a roll call. Harry?
Here.
Joan?
Joan McKibben, secretary.
Jason?
Jason's here.
Fred?
Fred's here.
John?
John Brunel, second.
And Diane?
I'm also here.
And one thing we need to do is appoint the alternates, since we have one of the full-time members out. Actually,
Two of the
two of them out. Diane, would you be willing to be full-time?
And Fred, too.
And Fred, because Mike.
Oh, and Fred, yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. So we got full. All right, first of all, do we have any public input for non-agenda items? Okay, looks like we don't. So the first item that we have is we're calling a public hearing for purchase of the Derosha Farm land acquisition. So I'll just read a couple things here quick before we get into discussion. So pursuant to NHRSA 675-7, the commission will discuss acceptance of an NH Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, LCHIP grant, and acceptance of the NH Department of Environmental Services, NHDES, Source Water Protection Grant, and the removal of conservation land funds to support the acquisition of the Derosha Farm property, which consists of approximately 60 acres at tax map 6 lots 32, 35, and 36. The property is located at 157 and 158 and 164 Charles Bancroft Highway. This purchase does not include buildings. And then we posted the public hearing in the Union Leader on May 23rd, and I can read what was put in the public notice. So please take notice that in accordance with NH 675:7, the Litchfield Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 6, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room 2, Liberty Way, to consider the following: removal up to $700,000 from the Conservation Land Fund for the purchase of conservation farmland and associated expenses, acceptance of a grant from NH Land and Community Heritage Investment Program in the amount of $225,000, and acceptance of a grant from NHDES Water Source Protection Trust Fund in the amount of $360,000. The above amounts are to purchase the Derosha Farm Land Acquisition Project, approximately 60 acres at the tax maps we just mentioned, tax map 6, lots 32, 35, and 36. Located at 157, 158, and 164 Charles Bancroft Highway. These funds do not include buildings. They're for land purchase only. All right, and now I think we want to just bring everybody up to speed for what has been going on and what the exact purchase entails. So I'd like to turn it over to Diane and Jason to give a quick overview.
My name's Diane Plansky. I'm in the last year of my second term on the Conservation Commission, and I have done quite a bit of work getting to know the Deroshas and to work on this purchase. They contacted us that they were interested in selling their land to the town. We've had a couple of different approaches. One was to work with the land trust to have them do it, but they were much more comfortable with us managing the land. I got to know Ray when he closed the blueberry section of the farm, and he was discussing at that point that he was interested in land remaining in agriculture and it being managed by the town. The land itself was purchased in 1943 by Harvey DeRocha. He wasn't a farmer by trade. His family was, though, and they were from up in Canada, and during the Depression up in Canada, they came down here. He was currently working as a mechanic in the city of Nashua, and it didn't work out. And he came over in 1943 and bought the land. He bought it on May 14th, which is a kind of a cool date, because on May 14th in 2024 is when the DeRochas signed the purchase and sale agreement with Litchfield to purchase their land and to keep it in perpetuity in agriculture. Ray gives a lot of the credit for the farm to his brother, who is Harvey II or Junior, who moved to the farm with Ray in 1936. Ray was born, he was 7 years old when he moved to the farm. His brother was a couple years older. The farm work was long and tedious, but Harvey loved it, and he started the blueberry farm and he started the strawberry farm. Ray wanted us to know he also served as the chairman of the Conservation Commission in 1975. He wanted us to know that he's thought long and hard about what he wanted to do with this land, but what he's watched is Litchfield used to be the breadbasket, and we had over 1,000 acres of farmland, and he's watched it disappear acre by acre in our town, and it bothered him immensely. He thinks the land is beautiful and that it's very important that we continue to grow food. You can build houses on rock like they have in Merrimack and Bedford, but you can't grow food there. You can't grow food on stone. So it's very important to the DeRochas that this land is preserved in perpetuity in agriculture. It's a beautiful land, and I think that's about all I have to say about it. Jay?
Thanks,
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to take you through a quick little slide presentation on the property itself, what we're intending to purchase and what the costs are and all that type of stuff. The DeRocha property, 60 acres. The DeRocha family, as Diane mentioned, approached us about potentially purchasing the land. The DeRochas stated that they wanted to keep the land as farmland in perpetuity, and it checks a lot of the boxes that we look at when we're looking at purchasing property. If anybody's been down there, it's a beautiful piece of property. Perfect example of a combination of historic farmland, there's forest land involved with it, there's 600 feet of Merrimack River frontage, the historic blueberry farm was there. As you'll see in a second, it connects to existing conservation property that's already there, so it's not landlocked. And it's currently farmed by the McQuestons and also by Alvern Farming. There's a drone shot from the river perspective looking up toward 3A. You can see multiple different farm fields along that corridor there. This is another drone shot of across the street. That's where the blueberry farm was, and the property goes way back, hundreds and hundreds of yards back toward Albuquerque Avenue. This is a shot kind of up near the road as you're coming off of 3A, walking down. It's just an absolutely incredible looking piece of property. Just to give you some specifics on the property is actually 3 pieces of property that we're looking to purchase. 2 are on the west side of Route 3A. You can see them in blue there. And 1 is on the east side of Route 3A. The one on the east side looks like a little bit of a flag lot. The property is in a residential zone. The commercial zone is not for over a mile away to the south. Kind of taking a look at the property a little bit more closely, the 3 pieces of property that you see in red are the DeRocha properties. On the west side of 3A that you can see the 2 lots totals about 26 acres. And then on the east side of 3A there with the flag looking lot is 40 acres. The intention is to purchase, in total that's about 67 acres. The intention is to purchase approximately 62 of those acres, leaving roughly about 2.5 acres for the house on the west side of 3A, and then leaving about another few acres for the storage facility on the east side of 3A. At some point in time, if that storage facility, we want to keep it that way, because at some point in time, if that storage facility ever turned into a farm-to-table business or something like that, we want to make sure that we have enough space to allow that. So that was kind of all set up. And then all that green land that you see on the back there, the darker green, is all conservation property that currently exists. So it almost goes from the river all the way up to Albuquerque. Here's the long and the short of it is this slide kind of details some of the numbers. The property is approximately 67 acres. We're going to have to get it surveyed. About 25 is farmland, about 35 is forested and wetlands. The town would receive approximately 60 acres of that. We completed an appraisal over a year ago. It came in with a couple of different numbers, with the larger number being 1.32 million for all of the farmland, not including the houses or the buildings. That's the 60 acres, came in at about $1.3 million in value. We negotiated a price with the DeRochers at $1.165 million, and that's what is in the purchase and sales agreement. At that point in time, once we, Diane actually started a lot of communications with the DeRochers, we looked to go after some grant funding for this property because we don't have that total amount in our conservation fund. So we went through a pretty significant effort to look for and go after grants, and we received 2 grants totaling $585,000. One from LCHIP for $225,000 and one from the Source Water Protection Grant Fund for $360,000. So we're getting $585,000 out of grant funding. The remainder of that, which is about $580,000, would come from the town's conservation fund, which we currently have right now, and we have money in that account to do it, to purchase the property. In addition to purchasing the property, we also have some soft costs like getting surveys done and things like that. The funds to purchase the property, none of the funds used to purchase the property come from taxpayer, not coming from the taxpayer. They're coming from existing funds that sit in the town of Litchfield's conservation fund. A little bit about the 2 grants. Grant number 1 that we got is the LCHIP grant. Very popular grant program within the state of New Hampshire. The intent, if you look at the bottom line there, of the LCHIP program, it's intended to protect historic, natural, cultural, and farming resources. Extremely competitive grant. I think they have about $2 million worth of grant funding, and there was somewhere in the vicinity of don't quote me on this, $4.5 million worth of applicants. And, applications came in totaling about $4.5 million. So there's a lot more folks looking to get the grant than they had money, and we received $225,000 there. And then after going after the LCHIP grant, the LCHIP people tipped us off to the Source Water Protection Grant Program. Just so happens that Pennachuck Waterworks has an intake downriver from the DeRocher property, and it falls in a radius in which we're eligible for Source Water Protection Grant funding. We went after that grant. That grant is intended to protect water sources, and we received that grant for $360,000. So in total, we're about $585,000 worth of grant funding. Just to give you a quick timeline to go on top of what Diane had mentioned, I think Diana and Diane started communicating with them probably in 2022. So this isn't something that just popped up in the last 6 months. There's 2 years plus in the making here. 2022, 2023, we met with the DeRochers about options for acquisition. In early 2023, we had the appraisal done. We also researched grants in early 2023. By mid-2023, about a year ago now, we got approval from all parties, the DeRochers, the Conservation Commission, the Board of Selectmen, to apply for those grants. In the fall of 2023, we negotiated the price, and at that point in time, we found out that we received the grants last November, and then it's taken us about 6 months to get the purchase and sales nailed down, and so that's where we are right now. The remainder of 2024, if this moves forward, we have to go through a big due diligence process, which includes getting the survey done, getting a site assessment done, and some things that we have to do to support the grant program. And then hopefully, if everything goes well and according to plan and everything is approved, we would probably close sometime, hopefully, possibly in late 2024, but most likely sometime in 2025. Just a few quick maps and figures, and then I'll turn it over to you for the hearing. DeRocher property sitting there in red. It is included, part of the property is in a surface water impairment area, reason why we got one of those grants. It's also in a groundwater classification zone, which is the source water protection portion of it. The entire site is in a source water protection area. The entire, or big chunk of the site has some of the best farmlands in the state, including state designated prime farmland and farmland of statewide importance. That's what the colors on the map are. Interestingly enough, that nearly the entire part of the property on the west side of 3A is the highest ranked habitat zone for habitat in New Hampshire. Don't quite know what's in there, but it's yeah, part of the state's program. It ranks it as one of the highest ranked habitat areas. And then a couple of photos here, just to give you an eyeball. There's a DeRocher home in the photo there. That's on the west side of 3A. You're kind of looking down toward Wilson Farm. If I kind of turn to the right, I'm going to take you a little bit of a walk down to the river. So from 3A, walking down to the river, you've got farmland on both sides. Oops, got farmland on both sides. Walking down more, there's farm fields as you get down there. And then as you get down toward the river, there's a beautiful farm field that is currently farmed by McQueston Farm. It's just absolutely stunning down there. And then when you look at the trees there, that's where the river is right behind it, and there's a shot of the river as you get down there. And then turning around and coming back up, this is that drone shot again, and going to the other side of the road, there's where the blueberry farm was, and then into the trees, and then even to the trees over to the right over there, that's still the property that goes way back several hundred yards. That's the 40 acre piece. And then once you get into the woods, there's a combination of some trails back there, wetlands, and typical forests. And then these are my last two slides here, Matt. When looking at pieces of property a couple of years ago, we put together a land preservation strategy, and you probably can't read all that stuff on the screen, but basically what you see up there on the screen are all the check boxes that we typically would go through when we purchase a piece of property. Is this property historic farmland? Would it protect natural resources? Would it protect wildlife? Would it protect town character? Is it adjacent to other conservation lands? Is it on 3A? Is it on the river? Can it be publicly accessible? That piece of property checks every single box here, which is very, very unusual. And then the last slide I just want to draw out is earlier this year, an economic development survey was completed by the town, and I know Diane hustled a lot of people to complete the survey as part during town meeting vote. And if you notice, some of the three of the 5 top things that were selected included, of importance to citizens of the town of Litchfield, was to preserve agricultural property, those 3 things on the right over there, preserve open space, and protect drinking water. And that's what purchase of this property would do. And just quick recap, 60 acres, 2 grants, 585, purchase price 1.165 million, rest to come from conservation funds. And we're here tonight for the public hearing to get public input on the acceptance of those grants and the approval to spend funds from the conservation fund to support this purchase.
All right, thanks, Jason.
Mr. Chair, can I ask, we have some correspondence from some different residents as well. That
Yes,
I'd like to,
we
you're
have
going to read
these
those in?
emails from
Okay,
it. Yeah,
wonderful.
so for this part now, we'd be looking for public input. So we have received some emails from several members of the town, which Joan can read
You want to do those first, or what do you?
Why don't we do it first to start off?
Okay, we have this one that came in today from Kate Stevens. Dear Conservation Commission members, we are writing to share our gratitude and support for the work you've done to acquire the DeRocha Farm property for the town to enjoy as farm and conservation land. This parcel in particular is most valuable as farmland because it preserves the agricultural heritage of Litchfield and is located near some of our most historic homes. It is a place where our students can learn the importance of working and taking care of the land, while town citizens enjoy the scenic and open space. DeRocha Farm lives on through their blueberry bushes in ours and many other yards, and now as working farmland for other crops. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to conserving these important spaces. Andrew and Kate Stevens, 9 Evergreen Circle. This one's from Marion Colby, June 5th. Dear Mr. Brennan and Conservation Commission, as a citizen of Litchfield who was born and raised here, I want to offer my strong support of the Commission's plan to purchase the land at DeRocha Farm, 158 Charles Bancroft Highway. This acquisition would help preserve the rural nature of the town, which is so important to many of our citizens. It would be good for our environment and will also provide natural wildlife habitat. The town of Litchfield protects owners' rights over the disposition of their property as exemplified by the demolition of many historic homes in recent years. The town should show the same support to the DeRocha family since it is clearly their plan to preserve their family farmland in its current state, and their intentions should be respected also. The town taxpayers have set aside money for land purchase and the conservation and the Commission's hard work. To obtain grant money to assist with this purchase makes it a very desirable acquisition for the town. Please include this correspondence in your hearing of June 6th. Sincerely, Marion Colby. This is from Andrew Ruggles. It has recently come to my attention that Conservation is interested in purchasing the former DeRocha Blueberry Farm. This is a fantastic idea, and I fully support this acquisition. It would be a shame to let this land be developed when the Conservation Commission has worked so hard in raising funds to purchase property exactly like this. Residents are constantly broadcasting that they support the preservation of our town's farmland. This is an opportunity to do just that. Feel free to read this email into the correspondence at your June 6th, 2024 meeting. Thank you for your consideration, Andrew Ruggles, resident. This is from John David and Lauren Son. Good morning, Conservation Committee. Please feel free to read this as part of the public correspondence at your meeting on 6/6/24. We are writing in support of the Conservation Commission's proposed purchase of the old DeRocha farmland. As a neighbor to this property and a resident of 169 Charles Bancroft Highway, we fully support this decision to keep this land in conservation. This purchase helps maintain the agricultural history and small-town feel of our community. Thank you for your efforts to leverage grant dollars to help support this purchase. John David and Lauren Son. That's the correspondence we got.
All right, so now we're looking for public input here, if anybody has anything to say. Ray?
Greetings. Ray Peoples, 205 Charles Bancroft Highway. You don't know how much pleasure this gives me to be sitting here tonight to thank the DeRocha family, and I'm hopefully thanking the Board of Selectmen on Monday night when they take this up to move this forward. So many times we come to these meetings to complain or to voice our opinion in a negative fashion about something that's going on in the town. It's so nice to have something positive to say. I know the Conservation Commission has had a strategy for a long time of preserving property in the town of Litchfield. When you talk to anyone, they come into this town. Why'd you move here? Oh, I love to drive down 3A, the rural character of the town, the farms. It's why they come, and it's worth protecting. As we all know, that putting land into permanent protection like this is very cost-effective for the town as overall budget strategy. If you built 2 houses there and they both had 2 kids in them, we know that we'd end up in a negative number. If you built 40 houses, it's a lot bigger negative number because the cost of putting children through school, increased fire protection, increased police enforcement, all the things that come with a more developed piece of property. at this point, by putting in the permanent production, we're gonna avoid all those costs. Once the initial purchase price has been absorbed, the cost of owning that land is almost nothing. It truly won't hurt us in the long run. I've heard some opinions this past week about folks talking about the need to develop it into housing or to something into that regard since it's zone residential, but I think it would destroy the character of 3A. The last farm that the Conservation Commission didn't buy was on the north end of town, and we've seen what's happened there. It's already developed. You can see the houses at the end of Corning Road. I can't envision something like that happening to the DeRocher property. I fully support this. I think the rest of the town will support it, and hopefully, you guys can move this forward in an equitable fashion and get it closed. Thank you all for your hard work. Jason, I understand that you wrote those grants, and that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ray.
Howdy.
Hello.
Welcome, Jacob.
Yeah, I really just want to mimic what Ray said in a lot of ways.
Name and
Oh,
address,
sorry.
please. Name and
Jacob
address.
McQueston, 330 Charles Bancroft. Didn't even cross my mind to say thanks for trying to do this anyways. I know we're not there yet, but, negative things happen in a lot of different ways, but this is a positive. We are currently farming that property, at least the back half, and access to the water source is so incredibly vital to trying to maintain any kind of crop. Only a handful of years ago, we had one of the worst droughts we'd ever experienced. And last year was obviously the exact opposite of that. But with the ability to actually maintain crops, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. So the property is beautiful. It's been farmed by anybody in Litchfield for generations. Keeping it around would be awesome. The view is great. And whether it's us or anybody else come future generations, would be just nice to see that. That's why people still think of it. I mean, if you think about Londonderry, you think about the beautiful apple orchards. Those are getting developed. You think about, like what Ray said, down at the end of Corning Road. It's getting developed. You can build a house almost anywhere, but you can't, once it's turned into homes, that's it. It's not going back. It'll never go back. I mean, you build one home there, it'll be over half the cost of this purchase, so it'll never be able to go back to what we see now. So I support the idea.
As a ninth generation farmer?
Ninth generation, that's right. Yeah.
Can't not get that in there, Jacob.
Yeah.
My heart is singing watching you sit here as your family's representative for this, so thank you.
Yeah, so we support it, and I mean, we're doing it now, but even if we don't, just seeing it through the future would be really awesome, and this opportunity only comes up once, so, thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
How we came.
She keeps making a couple of steps.
Corey Flint, 123 Hillcrest. I also want to thank you guys. I appreciate the hard work. I know how much work it takes to go through this process. It's and get grants and so forth, and it's appreciated by the town. The blueberry farm was one of the first places that we went to when we moved here as a family, and we went pick blueberries. And as we explored Litchfield and the area and the farms and the beauty of it, we knew that this is where we wanted to be for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, the bushes are gone, but the farm is still there. And every time I drive by there, those memories are always there of us picking blueberries for the first few years of living here. It would hurt my heart to see high-density housing there, because anytime you have a large tract of land that goes up for sale, it's going to turn into a neighborhood or high-density housing, and that's not what Litchfield needs. I think Litchfield has been and always will be a farming community, as long as people like you guys and the residents of the town have something to say about it, and to try to preserve that. I do have a couple questions, though. The plan is to continue to lease the property to the people who are farming it. Yes, and, that lease money, is that gonna go back into buying more, into the fund, the conservation fund, or buying more properties, or maintaining the property, or how does that work?
The lease money has to go back to the town.
Okay,
So right now, we have Alverin High School, and we have the McQuestons farming it. And I think that there's already a lease agreement, 2 lease agreements that are already in place, but we will have to always maintain those lands, which is a great opportunity for the town. Alverin has a wonderful agricultural school program, and it's not to say that we can't start something like that in Litchfield. It would be lovely to see.
no, I just was curious as to what the intentions were moving forward and how, and,
Yep.
and, you know, I'd love to see it stay farmland and not go back to, you know, natural.
It would have to be, because that's part of the deed. It's to be farmed in perpetuity.
Excellent. All right. Again, thank you. I appreciate you giving me a chance to speak.
Thanks, Corey.
Or try.
Hi, Carolyn Lambert, 15 Talent Road, lived in Litchfield all my life, and we own some of the old land in town as well. And this is a great opportunity for the town of Litchfield and for the, all the residents that live here. And I'm glad to see that it's probably coming to fruition pretty soon. My one thought was, and Diane or Jason, you might know the answer, or that back in the, was it 1930s or whatever, my dates may be off, but Boston and Maine had the trolley, the electric cars going through. Do they have has the deed come back to them? Because they bought, the railroad bought that land. And then when they stopped using it, the landowners were offered to buy it back. And I know on our piece, the center farm, that was bought back, and I believe Lewis Goff bought his part back. So I was just wondering if the DeRoches had, and, you know, I just don't want
Good question.
to, you know, have something come up at the very end, and, and, you know, they probably have, but that was just a thought.
I know
that had.
Marion bought hers as well,
Yeah.
so I'll have to, I think that's a good reason to ask.
We haven't completed a survey yet on the piece of property, but we've done initial deed research. And what we've seen, and we'll make a special note of this, is that those 3 pieces of property that you see are whole, I'll just call them whole pieces of property. And the only easement that is currently going through there is an Eversource easement on the flag-shaped lot. You know, so I'm assuming that there was a property transfer at some point in time, but
Yeah.
that will all come up as part of like our due diligence phase.
Okay, now
Great question.
I recall where it is. It's on the back side of the western property. You can still see that.
Yeah,
I think it comes.
and where it goes over into the McQueston property, there's like a tree line that's there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to have you guys check into
Good
that, because we
point.
don't want anything to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
The railroad tracks right at the river edge, right?
It's up a ways, but yeah. So when Lewis Falls.
We have handouts?
Always,
Okay.
always handouts, if you can be kind enough to pass them along. Gail Barringer, 398 Charles Bancroft Highway. If you will allow me, I'd like to read my letter into the record. Is that fine with everybody here?
Yes?
Mr. Chair. I'm writing to support the Commission's proposed purchase of the DeRoche farmland at 158 Charles Bancroft Highway. I think I'll put my glasses on. It would help. My family farm, Century Farm, was originally a King of England land grant to my ancestors circa 1730. The land grants in Litchfield were deeded for the purpose of settling homesteads and developing farmlands. This development process occurred well before the Revolutionary War during a period of peaceful coexistence with the native people, including Chief Passaconaway and his tribe. In fact, Passaconaway farmed the islands and the portions on either side of the Merrimack River directly across from my house, the only remaining portion of Century Farm still in the family. As the decades ensued, my ancestors not only farmed, but also lumbered, raised beef cattle and milking herds, and had the first only vegetable roadside stand in Litchfield. In the 1940s and 50s, huge crops of sweet corn were harvested and trucked into Boston for sale in Haymarket Square. I've attached some photos of Century Farm as far back as the late 1800s and some from the 40s and 50s, including the cornfields, the vegetable stand, and our sawmill. Think about our town's farming heritage. I certainly do as a lifelong resident. The collaboration between the Conservation Commission and the DeRocha family to achieve the preservation of their farmland should be applauded and approved at the Board of Selectmen's next meeting on June 10th, 2024. Let's thank the DeRochas for their appreciation of our history and our farming culture. And I wanted to take a walk back through from my own family's perspective to underline how incredibly important this history of farming is in Litchfield. And if we're going to walk the talk and say that, at least on the Charles Bancroft Highway, we want to preserve the culture, the farming, the sense of history that we have in this town, then we very, very importantly and definitely need to support the work of the Conservation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
There's some cool old pictures of her own home, her old farmstead, looks
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And farming pictures
Yeah,
of the
they're
sawmill.
beautiful.
Stephen Callaway, 168 Charles Bancroft Highway. And I want to thank you all for the hard work that you've done on the prospective purchase of this property. And I think, as other towns in southern New Hampshire have done who have working farms like Amherst, Litchfield should have one too. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of was when the state was conducting archaeological surveys of the town of Litchfield, particularly for Native American sites, this was one of the richest sites in the town of Litchfield. And it extended from the Wilson Farm up through the McQueston Farm, which is now where Robert Leary lives. And to show you an example of that, I brought this axe head. And 4 or 5 years ago, I was out getting my mail, and the field behind it had just been deep plowed, and there had been some rain, and I thought, my God, that is a really smooth-looking stone lying over there. Picked it up, and it was an axe head. And so we know that they were there, and in fact, the state believes that there is an ancient burial ground on that property. So it's well worth preserving, and future generations will thank you for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you
Thanks,
hold
Stephen.
that up for the,
Which way? This way? You want to hold it up?
I want to hold it.
yeah.
I didn't touch it.
Hopefully it doesn't have smallpox on it.
Hey, those are blankets.
It's
Those
a
are
little
the blankets that we
small
get. That is so cool, Stuart. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing the history our town has.
I do have a number of arrowheads that have been collected on that property too over the years.
Cool.
But, and this is the way it went, in case anyone doesn't know. It would fit in like that. We use it as an axe. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Shepard, 16 Center Street. Could you speak a little about the use of the property, what it will be? You said agricultural, but are there other opportunities? The one I think of is like a dog park or something. Is that out of the?
Dog park would not be included in a permitted use. So with the grants come some stipulations. And I'll just give an example with the L-chip grant. The farm is to be, for the most part, it's supposed to be reserved for farming purposes. And that's the primary thing, particularly on the west side of Route 3A. In addition to that, through the grant program, and as typical with any other conservation piece of property, it will be open to passive, recreational, transitory recreational activities like, walking down to the river. There are some trails up in the 40-acre lot on that side. Those will remain. But what is not allowed, I don't even think allowed on conservation property, not just including with the LCHIP program, is we're not allowed to build structures, to put baseball fields in there or anything like that. It's really intended to remain as conservation property with a focus on farming, and then also allow some passive recreational activities on there.
But we could have trails for dog walking and stuff. We just couldn't have
Can't have a dog
fenced-in dog park.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We currently, the Litchfield boat launch currently is being farmed by the McQuestons in the same manner. That is agricultural land. We took 1 acre of it back to put the river launch in, several years ago. But that land is to be farmed.
And how much money does this leave in the fund?
Off the top of my head, and Joan maybe back me up here, I think we have 1.1 plus in the total in the account now. Our authorization that we put up here was for 700,000. We think it's gonna be much lower than that.
Well, we've got legal fees and subdivision and a survey, so.
But the intention is also to use, the town also has a farmland protection fund. So let me back up a second. So the town actually has two funds that relate to land purchase. One is called the Farmland Protection Fund. It was established years ago, I think well before my time, but I think there's like about $150,000 in there. And that fund is actually under the management of the Board of Selectmen. So that is fund number one. Fund number two is the Conservation Fund, where we have somewhere in the vicinity of like $1.1 million in that fund. The amount of, the money that comes into that fund comes in through the land use change tax. So when a big piece of property, like the horse farm up on 3A, when that comes out of current use, they end up having to pay a penalty, a 10% penalty on the price of the land. A chunk of that ends up going into the Conservation Fund. So we've got about $1.1 million in there right now. So the hope is, and we have to get approval from the Board of Selectmen, is that we're able to use the $150,000 from the Farmland Protection Fund for this purchase, and then use the remainder out of our fund. If we are unable to use the Farmland Protection Fund, what we would have to use to purchase the property would be $580,000 of the 1.1 million, plus whatever it costs to do the survey, and we've got like some site assessment work. There might be $50,000 worth of work that we've got to do. So there'll be several $100,000 in there, probably 400,000 left in that vicinity.
Is that all you need though, as a selectman? Does this go to a vote into the town, or?
So the next, good question. So this does not have to go up to a town, to my understanding, does not have to go to a town meeting vote. Purchase of property through the Conservation Commission does not have to go to town meeting vote. What has to happen is that we have to hold this public hearing here for the Conservation Commission. Then the Board of Selectmen is gonna have a public hearing on Monday to accept the grants.
Okay.
And then toward the end, when we're getting ready, and help me out, John or Joan, if I'm speaking out of terms here, as we go to actually physically sign or transfer ownership, close on the property, that then also needs to be approved by the Board of Selectmen as well.
The Board of Selectmen have to approve it Monday, June 10th, is when they have to decide whether we're a go or we don't go. So that's the next big vote.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for everything you did.
Did I get any of that wrong?
No.
Okay.
No,
No,
other
the
than
board
the-
is making a decision on Monday.
Monday, right.
But we also have mentioned this, the farm fund to the Board of Selectmen when we went into non-public with them to talk to them about whether or not we should pursue.
That
this
has,
thing.
I haven't heard about the fund before, so I wasn't
It
aware of
was,
it, but
it
that's
was
fine.
created and then we added to it. We added another 100,000 to it, I believe.
Yep.
I think it's 175.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Anybody else?
So you have to make a motion to close public, or?
Yeah, yeah, I could. I don't have to make, he just can close public
Okay.
if he wants,
Yeah, I would close it, then we can have your own,
then
the
discuss.
board discussion.
All right, at this time, we'll close the public input for the, for the hearing for the DeRocher property. Thank you to everybody for their input and for joining.
So now we have to make a motion to spend the conservation funds, accept the grants.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion. And my motion is, the
Gotta
first
find it.
one is to accept the grants. I make a motion to accept the L-CHIP grant in the amount of $225,000 and the source water protection grant in the amount of $360,000, and to use these funds towards the purchase, including soft costs, of the agreed-to portions of the DeRocher Farm property located on lots 632, 635, and 636 at 157, 158, and 164 Charles Bancroft Highway.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Go for a roll call vote.
Discussion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any discussion?
Motion sound okay, everybody?
Sounds okay. The selectmen still have to also make that motion Monday.
But this is our motion
Right.
for our
But
board.
the selectmen, the local governing body has the final say.
Gotcha.
Okay,
All right, let's take it to vote. Harry?
Yes.
Joan?
yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
John?
Abstaining to the selectmen's vote, so.
And I myself am a yes as well, so that's
6-0.
6-0-1.
I have another motion, Mr. Chair, that we enter into a purchase and sale agreement. I make a motion to authorize the Conservation Commission to enter into a purchase and sales agreement to acquire the DeRocher family property, and further authorize the chair of the commission to sign the purchase and sales agreement as negotiated.
Sounds good. Do we have a second?
No,
I'll second it.
No,
I don't think you can do it
I don't
that
think you
way.
can do that.
I think that there's a requirement for conservation
No,
signature.
we have to make a motion to spend the $700,000. The selectmen are the
With
ones
the
that
signed
are approving
P&Ls.
the purchase and sale.
Oh, I thought we had to sign it and delivered a signed
We can
purchase
sign
and sale
the
by
purchase
us.
and sales.
Okay.
Kim wants us to sign the purchase and sale and then scan it to her so the selectmen will have it for Monday.
So the board has had a chance to review that purchase and sale agreement. Do they agree that we should sign it? So we do require a motion.
We're not approving the purchase and sale.
We're making a motion for the chair to sign it. That we approve what it says and that we're making a motion for the chair to sign it?
The chair, the vice chair, and the secretary sign it, and then the selectmen sign it Monday.
But do we need a motion to
No, we need,
authorize that motion is to authorize the chair to sign the purchase and sales agreement from our end.
And then it goes to the Board of Selectmen to go through their end of it, is my understanding, Joan.
Yeah, and then the final say, I'd probably word it as authorized to move it forward by signing it.
that's right.
Move
All
it
right, to
forward to
move
the
it
board for their
forward by
approval.
signing it. So I make a motion to authorize the Conservation Commission to move the purchase and sale forward by authorizing the chair of the commission to sign the purchase and sale agreement as negotiated.
Okay.
That's a change.
Sounds good. Do we need authorization to use the conservation fund
Well,
as
that's
well?
gonna be.
We'll do that
Be the
next.
third motion.
That'll be the
Oh,
third
okay.
motion.
All right, forget about that motion.
So do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go.
Second.
Seconded by Joan. Any discussion?
So, just from the board's perspective, from our conversation, obviously there's a bunch of maintenance tests that's being called out in the PNS that the board has some concerns about how's that gonna get done, right? today there's no resources, no people, right? And there's no money in the current budget, obviously next year is a whole different conversation. So as you go forward to the board, just have that as a thought, right? How are you going to take care of the property? I think the tenants that are there are gonna take care of the farmland, we know that. The access areas will probably get taken care of by them also as they come and go, but there's the forestry part where it requires us to forester it. I don't know what that costs to do, I don't even know what it would be, but just think about that, have that answer when you go to the board.
Okay.
You've already mentioned the legal fees, you understand it's coming out of your fund, because there obviously was no fund for it this year. One other thing, and as far as the farm, I didn't know about the farm part, the farm, fund, so that's a good thing, I guess.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's just like I said, going up on Monday, just have that stuff in your pocket.
Thank you.
I think your presentation, from my perspective, helped me understand why the property was important for conservation. I didn't have that in prior conversations, so I think it's a good acquisition.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
So could I make a motion, one more motion?
Wait a second,
Well,
we didn't vote on that.
Oh, we didn't vote on that
You
one.
just talked about, yeah, so, yeah, you can vote now. That's my comment.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion?
So that motion was to move the motion forward to the.
To have the
To move the
chair
purchase
sign
sale
it.
forward.
Okay, that's that motion.
So Diane made the motion.
I second it.
Okay, Joan seconded.
Joan seconds it. Okay, go for a vote. Harry?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yes.
Fred? Diane?
Yes.
And I'll say yes to move it forward to the board.
All right, thanks, John, and I'm also a yes, so 7-0-0.
And then, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make one more motion to authorize up to $700,000. We've made this in non-public in the past, but a public motion to spend up to $700,000, which is going to be less, but 700 of our funds, including the Farmers Fund, to purchase this property.
So the Farmland Preservation
Yeah, I
Fund,
think
that's
we should
controlled by the Board of
separate that.
Selectmen,
Yeah,
so.
we shouldn't include that.
Should
Yeah,
not,
this is
okay.
just the 700,000 from the Conservation Land Fund and associated expenses for the purchase.
That's how I'd make the motion too, and then
Okay.
Okay.
when you're having the discussion with the board, open the idea of that. Again, if they've already been talked about it, then that's
Okay.
fine. In my conversations, again, I only came on this year.
Right,
I didn't hear anything about the farmers fund, so,
we funded it.
yeah.
So
Yes.
just make sure we
So
nail
to
that.
make that change, I'd like to make a motion that we make available up to $700,000 to purchase this property.
And
In conjunction
associated,
with the land grants
and associated expenses.
and associated expenses.
Right.
From the.
From the
cons-
Conservation.
From the Conservation Fund.
It's just that,
Yep,
that's the most important one.
okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, any discussion? All right, let's vote. Harry?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
John?
Abstain.
And myself will vote yes, so 6-0-1.
And one more thing. I'd like to publicly thank Jason for the hours and hours and hours he spent on those 2 grants. And it was, we were amazed that we got both grants, and it was, I mean, we couldn't have done it without Jason.
My thunder.
I gotta publicly thank Diane
Yes.
for keeping me in line, because there are many times where I was about ready just to give up, because it was a grind for 6 months straight between multiple attorneys on their front and
Hours
just
and
getting the
hours at the kitchen
paperwork.
table.
And thank you, Diane, for like keeping my spirits high and, focused and in the right direction, so. And then you too, Joan, actually, you were at the beginning, but, we'll say Diane did a fantastic job with
Prodding you.
getting those folks, but anyway,
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
appreciate that.
All right, so we're,
That's it.
That's
Did you
it.
hit the gavel?
yeah, hit the
Gavel,
gavel from
hit
that
the
one.
gavel.
Yeah, I have, you used to use it to shut me up.
All right, so next, getting on to new business, we have the archaeological study at the muster field.
Yes, I just want to do real quick hitting on this one. I think I had a couple of pictures here, and and I have something from Stephen. Stephen, I don't know if you want to give an update, you want me to read off what you?
And if there are any questions.
Okay. So some of you might have noticed that they're doing an archaeological dig on the muster field, which is property that we manage, that's across the street from the old town hall. I happened to be driving up Route 3A a week or so ago and noticed the folks actually out there doing the archaeological dig, and I got a couple of pictures of it. But based on something that Stephen sent me, I had him just give me a little bit of background, what's going on, so I can report it to the board. So what's going on right now is a phase 2 archaeological survey of the site across the street from the old fire station. Ground penetrating radar was used to confirm that there was no evidence of human remains in what's left of the original burial ground, which is kind of almost directly across the street from the old town hall or Carl Frank's house. The exact meaning of the first meeting house, erected in 1736, was determined as part of the ground penetrating radar exploration process. While they're there, the presence of Native American, I'm assuming artifacts, was verified via the excavation, and they found artifacts. A final report and public presentation of the findings and a chance to see the artifacts will be happening this summer. And the project is under the direction of the Monadnock Archaeological Land Survey team. I was able to go check it out, and you can see the folks, if you can see that, Harry, you can see the folks out there. Yeah. They've got when I was there, they actually had, ironically, a grave-sized hole dug, and you can see that it's about 4 feet deep or so. And let me just kind of roll through some of these photos here. Archaeological dig. It's photo number 1. Let's see if I can hit the next button, see if that works.
It should work.
Yep, there we go. And what they were doing is, in this particular dig, they were making a very nice, neat, tidy hole, and then pulling the dirt out of the hole and putting it through a bunch of they screened the dirt, essentially. And what was interesting to me is that when I stopped in and had a chat with the folks, is that there were various different strata layers when you looked in those holes. And one of them, the first layer, had a white band about a foot down off of the grass, and that was the 1936 flood. So all the stuff that kind of washed in, Stephen, tell me if I'm misstating this, was basically almost the first foot of soil there.
Wow.
And then as they dug down and they put it through the sifters there, they were able to pull out bags and bags of artifacts and other stuff just from that hole. Metal pieces, there was a coin from the 1700s that was found in that hole, and as was stated, Native American artifacts were found in there as well.
Surprising porcelain pieces from the mid-18th century, not normally seen this far interior into Hampshire because they were very sophisticated things. They would more likely have been seen on the seacoast. But I said, you have to keep in mind that our trade was down the Merrimack River to Newburyport. So they traded in Portsmouth and Newburyport and brought those things back here.
Very cool. Interesting.
Tough shot here, but this is a picture of the one of the hole that they dug, and I'm just bad angle, but I'm kind of standing over on top of it, but you can see how
That white band?
clean everything was. Yeah, so you can see the grass in the in the foreground, and I'm looking straight down, and I'm saying it's like 4.5 feet deep. You can see the gray line going across. That was like the 1936 flood, and then there are other lines going across here that I think Stephen told me that were.
It was a big flood, and it was an enormous flood, the biggest of all time in 1858, I believe.
Wow.
Did they ever hit subsoil?
Did they ever hit what?
Subsoil?
Yes.
Oh, they did.
I was amazed at I'm not a dirt guy, but that dirt looked good.
Yeah.
When it came out of there, it
Topsoil.
looked
It's
really, really good, like
100%
high
soil,
potent dirt.
Yeah.
Whatever the most potent dirt, that's what it was. That's what it'll look like.
That's why we're the agricultural corridor.
Yes, of like that. They done one you saw, Jason, the first one, and then a couple of days later, they came back and did another one. And in the first one, they found, this circle of black soil. Well, that was one of the original posts under the meeting house. Knowing the size of the meeting house, they then extrapolated and went closer to the riverbank and said, well, there should be another post here, and lo and behold, there was another post. And so they now know the exact location of the meeting house, the cemetery. Most of the cemetery, as we know, is gone. And just before the Civil War, after the big 1858 flood, the selectmen conscripted young men during the summer in the town to go and exhume these grave sites and move them to the 3 town cemeteries. And so we assumed that all the bodies were moved, but now we know that there are none left there.
So more to come in August, it sounds like.
Yes, presentation, at which time all of the artifacts will be returned to the town. And we thought that we'd have a presentation, public presentation, display of the artifacts, and have the lead archaeologist here to discuss it with anyone interested.
Nice.
That's great.
That's all I've got.
All right, Stephen or Joe, anybody from the historical side have any other input on that?
That's about it for now. And this does complete phase 2 survey. And I'm most interested to see, because the preliminary digs last summer didn't show any Native American artifacts, which we thought was very unusual. But these were deeper digs, and sure enough, up came the Native American artifacts.
Are there plans for continued phases for this?
Excuse me?
Is there going to be other excavations?
For now, this is the end of the surveys. The phase 2 with ground penetrating radar was the most extensive that we will have. But what we hope this leads to is a collaboration between the Historical Society and the Conservation Commission to mark the various sites on this property, because there are cellar holes, horse sheds, and all sorts of things. And in the kiosk, either have a QR code or a little write-up there, so forth, that people can come and see, relate a number that we'll put by these sites, so they can walk around and understand what all of these things are.
Yeah, that's great. We're very interested in supporting that, so.
I was driving by when they were doing the ground piercing radar, and I turned around and came back, because like, okay, what are these people up to? So I stopped to talk to them, and said, found out they were okay.
Metal detector.
It's a pretty big metal detector. So.
All right,
One more.
oh, I'm sorry.
I want to thank Jason and his crew in particular for finally getting the muster field up there on the plateau cleaned out and back to how it was when our Litchfield young men went to war for the War of the 1812, for the Revolutionary War, for the Civil War, for the French and Indian War. It's so good. So thank you, Jason and crew and conservation for doing that. That's so important. And maybe one day we'll have a green marker.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, we just put a grass mix up there too, so hopefully we'll get rid of all the briars and everything else up there and actually get some
And there was
get
a
some
letter
grass.
in the possession of the Historical Society, dated 1742, calling for a muster on that field.
Wow.
And they went to all the surrounding towns, and they were to all bring a penny so that they could purchase a drum for the regiment. And that's one of the, I think, the earliest letter in existence in the state of New Hampshire, calling for muster.
Cheap. Penny for a drum?
Well, there were a lot of men.
Yeah, a lot of pennies.
A lot of pennies.
Oh, everybody had a, everybody had a big thing.
Amazon?
Did you print anything on this? I meant to look for it, and I go back and find it from Reggie.
All right, next on the agenda is the Talarico subdivision conservation easement.
Let's see here.
Oh, he is there. I didn't think you were back there.
I was hiding,
Hiding.
listening.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm just gonna hand out a document for you guys, just to review.
Good.
This is not by any means, of course, final. I did supply this to
Thank you.
Jason and Joan. I don't know if you saw it in your email that came across
I
this
just forgot to
afternoon,
print
but I
it
got
today. Thank you.
So I apologize for being so late, but it took the attorney some time. You did get a copy, let me start, right, I'm Reggie Morrow. I'm the developer of the Tellerico Street subdivision. And what we're here tonight to discuss is the declaration of covenants and restrictions as it relates to the open space. So in front of you, what I just handed to you is a combination of some of the things we talked about, some boilerplate documents that we've had, and of course then incorporating the Fish and Game comments to a lesser extent than what they had sent over. And the reason why I say a lesser extent is we felt that Fish and Game's requirements were going to be too tight for the town to be able to do the things that it may want to do, or the Conservation Commission may want to do on the property down the road sometime. So our suggestions in this will give the Conservation Commission a little more flexibility as it relates to if they want to put a kiosk up for signage, if they want to maintain or create any additional trails out there. All of that would have been not allowed under the Fish and Game restrictions. So we kind of loosened it up just for the benefit of the Conservation Commission. So when you review this, and I don't anticipate that you'll go through this tonight, I'm not looking for anything this evening. This is more or less just to kind of give you a brief of where we're coming from. And there is like I said, I did share Joan with you, and you feel free to share it with everybody else so that we can edit it on the computer rather than try to do it by hand. But the intent is to take, like I say, the general documents that are used for this type of thing, look at the Fish and Game requirements that were shared with you, and then you'll see how we kind of loosened it up. There are some things I think in here that we're going to need to adjust. For some reason, Andy, I think, had everything here to the town of Litchfield, which I believe it has to go to the Conservation Commission. So we'll end up correcting some of that, but feel free to just edit that the way that it needs to be for legality purposes. And then if there's anything here that you disagree with, please let me know and we'll go over it. But it was just modified, again, just to help the Conservation Commission to be able to do what it needs to do on the land without having its hands completely tied and not be able to do anything.
Reggie, did you email this in a version we can edit, or is it?
It's a Word doc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, because Fish and Game didn't, what did they say about the existing trails? I remember they talked about trails, but they didn't.
They basically were restricting any kind of maintenance or anything on the trails. They were and anything that was going to be created new. So let's say if some of those trails might have a bridge, because some of them do, and I don't know whether those bridges, they pretty much sit out on their own. If that needed to be maintained, there's no structures, nothing that you can do with structures, period, in the Fish and Game restrictions. They're very, very tight. I know we had the same issue when we did the Fish and Game easement over on the farm, and we kind of loosened it up again to give some flexibility to the Conservation Commission. So, like I said, not looking for anything tonight, just want to make sure that we aren't tying your hands by agreeing to all the things that they
Good to
want.
look at Fish and Games compared to this.
Yes.
Because I meant to print that today and I forgot.
Yeah, again, I knew this was not going to be something we could just hammer out tonight. I wanted to make
Okay.
sure you had plenty of time to look at it, but I just wanted to give you what our intent was with the document that's in front of you, so that way, when you're looking at it, you're not trying to think that we're trying to put, this is all for you, not really for us. So just, just feel free to look at it that way. And
One
and
question,
let us know.
did Bruce Gilday get out there again?
Yes, he did, and he brought a biologist with him and 2 other people, so they
I
all went
haven't
out
been
and
out
looked
there
at it.
since March, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah, he
Fred
brought a whole team of people out there. I don't know if you saw the response to Fish and Game, but he actually went into great detail on that.
has. No, I didn't see the response.
Okay.
That would be good if I could see that.
Reggie, if you've gotten it, could you forward it to us?
The response? Yeah, I can, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've got, what he sent up to Fish and Game and
Send that to
who was
Matt.
included, yeah, I'll be more than happy to send it over.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joan, Can you tell us a little bit about Fish and Game? Like, anytime an open space subdivision is developed, where does Fish and Game come in?
Back up, it's anything that's developed, they talk to non-game portion of Fish and Game. And, well, first of all, they have to go to the New Hampshire Heritage Bureau, it's called Heritage Bureau now, right?
So
And they have to,
right.
they pinpoint, they won't tell you exactly where a species was, but on that map that they have, which they should not have put in their AOT report, had circles everywhere of blandings, spotted turtles, not hognose snakes so much, but just, it was littered with turtles. So nothing actually found on that John Nelson parcel, because people haven't really looked for it there. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So Fish and Game weighs in on that after they get the hits from the New Hampshire Heritage Bureau, and they try to work with the landowner or the developer on what they can do to protect the species that are there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much a rubber, when I say rubber stamp, it's something we have to do on almost
Have to
every
do, yeah.
project we
Okay.
do. It goes by Fish and Game because New Hampshire Wetlands waits for that report to come in before they weigh all of their things. So it's all part of that reporting process. So
Right.
Wetlands, right now, we're still waiting on their responses. They've actually came back to us for comment on several different aspects of the site, which it's all been responded to for I think the second time. It's just, they're being very careful, and because they received Joan's letter that went up there, and they're just making sure that everything is, such that what
And
it
that,
is.
my letter was not to hold up the project. My letter was concerned because of that wetland area and because of their map in the AOT report that, like I said, was just surrounded with species.
That's good. I mean, it got them to focus, and so, which is good, and it got all the right people out there on the spot to make sure that,
Yeah, I'd like to see Bruce's final
Yep,
report.
I'll send it over to you.
Great, thank you.
John, you kind of coming in late here, but there was a subdivision approved off of Pearson.
Yep.
So that's Pearson right up here. And this is kind of an overlay of, one of the plans.
Yep.
And then what the intention was the back 40 over here. There's some land that's like, can't be built on, and this is an open space subdivision, that this back 40 would end up going to the Conservation Commission. And in here, Reggie, if I remember correctly, we wanted to make sure that up here in this part, I don't think this is the latest plan,
Right.
but up here in this part, that we had a 20-foot strip that wasn't,
Right.
that we owned, that would provide access off of here.
There's an access that goes over and down into
Okay.
this parcel here. It's a 20-foot, it's gonna be a deeded,
Right.
access, not an easement.
Okay.
And then, this is also part of the open space as well.
All right.
So just to review, it's the three lots that are apparent there, right? Is it, or is it four
Yeah.
lots total?
So, no, it's really two lots.
The
Two. Yeah,
parcel
two.
itself consists of this lot here and this lot here.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's right.
Does anybody have any other questions for Reggie?
Nope.
All right, thanks for putting this together and for coming in, Reggie.
You're welcome. And any rough idea as to what you need for time to get this reviewed by whomever, and get back to me with your comments so I can get you a final
Think
draft?
we could do it, for the July meeting, if we have a July meeting?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Yep.
That way there I can get it up to Fish, because Fish and Game's gonna wanna see a copy of this as well. I wanna get it up to them, and I think Wetlands will probably wanna see what we're planning on doing as well, so.
I did have a question. We were talking about the 20-foot strip, and is there a plan to reference here? I just want to make darn sure that,
Because there's a
So-
plan on the front. What is it?
Yeah, there is no plan referenced on it
Yeah.
yet, Jason. Once we have a final subdivision plan, that plan number will be filled in here, as part of the recorded documents.
can we get a copy of what's the latest
Sure.
plan? Because I don't think, I think the last time, when you came in here, you guys had made some tweaks when you went to the planning board and you came back and forth to us, and I don't think we ever saw that.
Digital copy,
That-
okay?
Yeah,
or-
I just wanna do the final QA, QC gut check, just to make sure that 20-foot
Sure.
strip is in there, and, that everything else looks good.
Electronically okay, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hang around for the next one, too.
Yeah.
Next
Okay.
topic.
So anything else, to discuss on that? All right, then going back to old business, we have the Morris Falls, sidewalk update.
Oh, good.
So I need, to go to Fish and Game, I need the width, the material. We have a rough sketch of, do you have that on there, the rough sketch?
It was, Joan, you should have it in the last plan that was
I
supplied.
have the one you sent me had the elevations from the power pole, but I don't need that for.
It didn't
Fish and
have
Game.
specs
It
on
should,
it.
I thought it had all the, it had the width, cross-section of the,
It had a 15-foot easement off the, 15-foot easement, and it
Yeah.
had a 15-foot easement off the roadway, but it didn't have any,
yeah, it had a
actual-
width on it, and I thought the width was 8 feet, which I thought was
The
wider.
width said 6, and it really has to be 8.
has to be,
Okay,
yeah.
just to
it
be,
has to be
I knew it was one or the other.
For plowing, I think.
Okay.
Consistency.
And I need to know material that's gonna be used, I don't know what they're gonna say about paving, and I don't know.
Shouldn't be an issue.
With Fish and Game?
It shouldn't be, based on the way Jason read the agreement.
Yeah,
Pavement shouldn't be an issue because it's used for recreation.
okay. So I'll say paved.
I mean, it's cheaper for me to go with gravel, but I don't think that's what we want
But
to
I
deal
think,
with.
that- well, the pavement would hold up
Well,
better.
Reg, on the other side of the fence, I did send the plan to National Grid.
Okay,
So that's in their hands. So it's the one that he provided last month, we sent it over to National Grid. I haven't heard anything yet.
don't plan on ever hearing
Okay.
anything. They're awful. I'm still waiting for stuff from them from years ago.
All right. They were responsive the first time we asked them what the process is. Within a week or so, we
Yeah.
got something back.
Yeah,
And so I kicked the plan over the fence. The plan that you provided had enough information for them because it had the distance from the ground up to the power lines. And I think that's all they were interested in.
they're basically what they, so the way National Grid works today is they don't look to see when the easement was granted. They look at today's requirements under their new easements that they're granting, and they say, here's what you can and here's what you can't do. And so when you go back and you look at the old easement documents, they're completely different than what they're trying to tell you to do today. Okay, so when you look at the old easement documents, this sidewalk should not be an issue. It's not a structure, it's nothing that's gonna impede their abilities to service their lines. If anything, it's just gonna, keep down trees and shrubs from growing in that area. It only kinda helps them. So from that standpoint, I don't believe that there's gonna be anything based on what I've sat down and talked to our attorneys on. I don't think there's anything there that's gonna come into play. As you had mentioned, the biggest concern with them is, and from our standpoint as well, from a safety standpoint, if we're putting a piece of equipment in there working, we need to know what the safe distance is from the top of the boom of whatever machine we're using, so that we don't create an electric charge into the vehicle for the person operating it. So I think we should be okay with that based on what we know. But, again, that's one I wouldn't hold your breath,
Yep.
on.
And John, for your knowledge, again, I hate the PDF viewer, but the horse farm property is here. There's, if all works out, there's a requirement for a sidewalk.
Right.
And it's gonna go inside the fence. That's what we agreed to, inside the
The current.
The white
Morris
fence.
Falls,
Yeah.
the white fence.
Yep.
And then coming into the parking lot in Morris Falls.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
What you can see here, this is the sidewalk proposed.
Yep.
And it kind of has a little jog because there's a stanchion there for
The
the
pole there, yeah.
So that's the proposed. There's actually a break in our fence, or, a common fence that,
Saw that.
and I think that's gonna be pretty much right where it's gonna land,
Okay.
pretty close. Just lucky that way, I guess, but. And I did, prior to the meeting, just informally, I did talk to Jason just a little bit about the easement down back and some concerns and what we're trying to work through. There's about an 8-acre parcel, more than that, actually. There's 8 acres, about 8 acres that they're farming right now, which is kind of all along the riverbed, all the way back over to here, and then it kind of goes around the pond a little bit this way. Our intent is Alvin's currently farming that, and it's wonderful farmland. He actually thinks it's some of the best farmland that he has, and he'd like to, maintain it as long as he can. Our biggest thing is, we have to be concerned about liability. So the questions I've asked Jason to kind of look into for me is, twofold. One is, depending on the type of easement we're gonna put over that, and the easement doesn't have to be limited to that. We have no plans on doing anything with even the stuff to the far side of the power lines. Pretty much what you see there is all we're proposing to do anything with. So when we do go to look at the easement, because it is being farmed, one of the questions we had is, when we're trying to write up the condominium documents, is the liability of a farmer out there doing work if he gets hurt, or if they put some sort of chemical down that becomes harmful in the future. We don't want to have, that liability with the homeowners in the condominium. So I don't know what we would normally, what you're doing currently with some other farmers. I know that you already have experience there. So if you could give us some guidance on that, because we have to incorporate those kind of things in the condominium docs. And we're gonna need that relatively soon so that we can accommodate, what we wanna do is to keep that being farmed.
So you're talking about insurance?
Yeah, just what we can do to, if the conservation committee has, conservation part of the town has insurance for that type of thing, for use on their property, if somebody, happens to.
Well, wait a minute, when you go, you already subdivided it, so that piece will go with the condominium.
So it's technically, right now, we're under conditional approval, and
Right.
this, let me just get so from here, Mustang Drive goes down like this.
Right.
And then what's gonna happen is this becomes like a flag lot.
Right.
This comes off and goes with that.
Right.
And then this stays with
Right.
the rentals.
So doesn't the condominium association then own that piece?
So the condominium association will own this.
Right.
But we would like to keep the use that's currently there. We'd like to keep the farm
Right.
use because it's such good field. And again, we have, there's water access if it ever needs to be.
But,
utilized.
so why would we be involved? There'd be
Well, there's gonna be
liability
an
with
easement-
a,
There'll be an easement here, and we have to look at, if there's an easement over this for use by the townspeople, that's a liability. If something happens, how do we protect the homeowners?
so a use for passive recreation because it's
Right.
the farm issue is a separate issue for the condominium
Well,
section.
Right, and I would like to keep this being utilized as a farm.
Yeah, keeps it open,
But
yeah.
I'm being told by the attorneys that's probably not a wise idea for a condominium to, to allow something like that to happen unless we've got a secondary source to cover for that. So, if there's anything that you can help me look into that might help us get past that, it would be very helpful, because I'm.
The only thing when he came in earlier that I just mentioned was that the community garden,
Is covered.
we have an easement on the community garden property, which is owned by Normanton Farm.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
And then on top of that, we have a lease.
Right.
And I don't know what the lease looks like, but there's,
You have a copy of it?
there's
No, so the
I don't
town
know.
insurance does cover our use, because we were originally gonna put a swing set up and those kind of things. And I don't know what they're gonna do with it now, but that was covered under our insurance policy, and as is all our conservation land is covered under the town.
Yeah, that needs to be checked into.
No, but he's looking for giving us an easement for there's a path behind there that hooks up to Moore's Falls. Am I correct, Reggie?
Yeah,
Is that
there's-
what you're thinking?
So what there is
He's gonna
right
give
now
us
is the
easement,
old
which is-
trolleyway.
Yeah,
If you can
it's a
see
great
here.
opportunity.
Yeah,
We
it's right
want
there,
that.
yeah.
That old trolleyway continues, and it kind of
dies right here.
Yeah.
You can see
Right.
it goes a little bit further, but it really kind of
Oh, I do too.
dies here.
Right.
But the thoughts are that Morse Falls is such a smaller area that it would be nice to be able to connect a larger network of trails and possibly then get more use for this area. And this would allow for, you know, a trail to potentially go across and out and back down along the river, however it seemed fit. But that's, I mean, these people I'm sure would love to have something like that as well. You know, the residents in here would love to have something like that to give them a little better access back there as well. But I'm not quite, and again, we haven't gotten any real discussions yet, but
I
do
would
know-
talk to your insurance company as far as, because you're gonna have a lot of common areas that you're gonna have to insure there, right?
We are.
I would talk to your insurance company and ask them, and I mean, you may have to sign a lease with Alvin that says that they're not gonna use any toxic chemicals on the
Well,
land, that they would have to be
Condo association
organic
have to.
farming.
Do they have
Um,
insurance?
Yes, yeah, we have
Does the
a,
condo insurance, does condo association have insurance?
it does. So what it does is it has a master policy, and the master policy will cover all of the common land, and then it will also cover the limited common. And then when it goes to the structure itself, it covers the structures as well, up into basically the point where you're finished your paint, and those kind of things. And then sometimes doors and windows are included
Well,
as well.
what's limited common?
Limited common would be like a driveway,
Oh, okay.
or, you know, to prevent anybody from just parking in your driveway,
Post office.
kind of thing, yeah.
The post office, the
Yeah.
community center.
You might have, you know, those kinds
So
of
the
things.
common, yeah, I would ask the insurance company what they're gonna cover on the common.
And then let us know about that.
Okay.
Ask
I know
because
that
it would probably be cheaper as part of your whole policy, and you would probably just want a lease with Alverin that says that it's to be an organic, that they're to farm it organically, if you're concerned about what kind of chemicals they're using there, Reggie.
Okay.
Reggie, what's the arrangement with Alvin right now? Or are they leasing that, or is
I'm
that-
just letting him use it. Yeah, he was looking.
Year to year?
So last year was the first time, there was another farmer that was in there prior to, I'm not sure who that
Oh,
was.
She was a
I didn't
large
think- yeah,
animal
I
vet.
didn't know, think it was Lauer.
Yeah, and so they came to me and they had just lost a 100-acre parcel out in Hudson to development, and he said, we really need to get something for our livestock, and we need corn. And I think at the time, they were talking with Mr. Charbonneau, and he wasn't sure whether he was gonna be able to grow corn there. So he said, I could really use a cornfield, and I said, you know, if you need it, go right ahead.
It used to be her, Darlene's large animal vet used to grow corn back there,
Is
and
that what
she
it was?
would do an exchange with him, for care for the horses.
Okay,
So it used to be an exchange years and years ago,
okay. Well,
so.
It's a beautiful spot for it. I mean, that corn is deep green when it's grown. It is incredible to see how well it was doing.
Man, I think that's probably something we're gonna have to look at or do some little bit more investigation.
Yeah, that's what Reggie's
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's gonna be a step coming up, and I just wanna start to get a focus on the direction that we need to go. So I'll look on my end, and if you can just look on your end as to the kind of things that we'll need to do.
I was trying to think of anything that we had that was similar, and the only two I could think of were the community garden and the river access piece.
Well,
But
the
this is
river
a
access,
different
but the river
scenario.
access is town-owned land.
Yeah,
And the community garden, see how the insurance
Yeah,
looks
that's
at that.
why I think we have to think about it and do more research.
And how do
I'm not
they-
looking
how
for
does-
answers tonight. I just know that it's coming.
The insurance issue is to protect the HOA or the condo association.
That's correct, the individuals there, yeah.
Right. I bet anything that you can get a
What if the
decent
condo
rate.
association doesn't want to lease the land anymore? Their land at that point, isn't it?
Well, what'll happen is, I'm gonna put it'll be into perpetuity, whatever we do.
Okay.
Ahead of time as the declarant, that's something I can do. So whatever it is, that's why it has to be in the documents moving forward before. I've got about 4 months before I can have Attorney General approval. It's gonna take that long for them to review this, but part of that process is I have to have those documents in place for them to review. So I need to have an idea of which way we're gonna go so that I can get that over to them.
So just spitball on, what if you just turn that parcel over to the town in conservation?
I can't because it's part of I would need a variance because it's part of the density that was required in order to get the number of units.
Gotcha.
And that's why it's a flag lot. We've got it
Good
set up so
question.
that,
Got it.
yeah,
Yep.
That's what I was thinking.
yeah,
Question, good answer.
Because that would remove the issue
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Well, but there's still part of it that he could deed to us, which is that path that's behind that farmland, isn't that true? Or would we just
No.
get an easement?
Nope, it would, anything would be an easement
An
at this
easement,
point, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's nice.
Yeah, we maximized, if you remember, we kind of maximized the density out there with what we
Yeah.
had for usable land and exclusive of what's under the power lines. The power lines was actually removed from that density calculation. Yeah. Okay,
You ready?
all right, I'll talk to you soon.
Good, yeah.
Thanks, Reggie.
Thank you.
All right, before you finish going to the old business, questions have, something specific to talk about?
Questions to ask. So like, we lease the land from you, how's that work with hunting? With hunters?
It's in the purchase and sale agreement. Funny you say that. There's no hunting during farming. But if there's
Active
a,
agriculture.
if there is an active field planted, including winter rye, there is no hunting down by that field.
Unless you're trying to get rid of varmints.
Right, exactly, exactly. If you have a problem
put-
with
yeah.
birds, or you have a
If
problem
you're
with,
protecting your crops, you can.
you can, we can
Birds, we can
300
hunt.
feet.
Right next to the boat ramp also? Would that be the same with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no hunting by active agriculture, right.
Okay.
So if you started to plant winter rye on that, you're right, they could, are you talking about the geese?
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't had a problem there. I've only had a couple guys down there.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and my second question, someone had mentioned able to walk dogs. There's a new federal law saying
Oh,
that
that's
if you have
right.
crops planted, you're not allowed to have
That's right.
On the field,
on the fields.
on the
You're
fields.
supposed to walk the path.
But nobody's gonna, yeah, it would have to be on the field, on the paths.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
fields.
Yep, that law's been around
That's a
for a
good
while.
point, because we'd have to have
I've been
posted
notified
like
about
that.
it.
Have to post it.
Yeah, it's been a while, even
Posting
longer, I
theirs.
think. Has it just been 6 years? Okay.
Regarding the hunting thing, we had a lot of discussion on this, and
Huge.
huge.
Yeah.
And in the end, like, what I think we envision is on the west side of 3A, when you're walking down toward the farm field that you currently farm, is there'll probably be a kiosk there. And that kiosk is gonna say, there's no hunting within 300 feet of any structure around there, so that takes out a big chunk of the top
Yeah.
field.
That's a
And
state
then,
rule.
other than that, as Diane had mentioned, the way that it's worded in the state, in the grant language, is that if there's a plant in the ground, if there's any farming operations going on, no hunting.
Yep.
So that could potentially be year-round if something's planted in there.
Probably
Winter rye.
need to put up a sign,
There'll be signs,
yeah.
Kinds of
we're able to
signage.
put up signs all the way down there as well during farming operations, so I think the intent is to be pretty much no hunting on that side of the
For
road.
safety.
In the back 40 on the other side of the street, in the woods, I don't think there are any problems there, but there's a lot of discussion on that.
Yep.
Well,
There was months of discussion on
the
that.
house that's on the other side of the boat ramp,
Yeah.
that's well within the safety zone. I mean, your field and that house,
Yeah.
so there shouldn't be any hunting at all.
Well,
period.
that's not the case though, Harry. There's,
What, no,
It's
he's talking by
within-
the boat ramp, by the boat ramp.
beside the boat ramp, he's talking about beside the boat ramp. And there were hunters down there last year and Field and
In
Game
the-
came.
In the field,
Yep, in the field.
towards.
Not on the, but yeah, on the field,
3A.
it was done. And the Field and Game came and they measured it out and they were within 300 feet. And there was nothing planted there.
Just talk to the turkeys that are down by the boat ramp, there are 50,000 of them.
No, I see one turkey roaming around town, poor turkey.
Does it look scared?
Just one other thing, this has nothing to do with any of this. It would be really nice if you could get someone to interview Ray DeRocha
Yeah,
and talk about how the DeRocha family made most of their money selling eggs. It's a very interesting story.
I will do that. I do most of the interviews. I'd love to
How
do
they
that.
shipped them over
Yeah.
overseas for- it's-
That'd be
Every
good.
time I talk to Ray, I learn something new about his family, something new about farming. It's the same thing when I go and talk to you guys.
Hours available, that's all.
Hours and hours, hours and hours.
Yes, that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
People would love to know how they really made their money.
They're a
off
fascinating family. They really are.
hard work.
Yeah, they're a very hardworking family. Well, they're farmers.
All right.
Actually, there are a lot of things,
Thank
but they
you.
also were farmers. Thank you so much for being here tonight, you guys.
All right, moving on to old business.
Yeah, long one tonight.
B and C,
Thereupon milfoil, I'm sorry, do you have something, Joan?
no, I'm just saying, B and C isn't here, he's not here, so we can't do those.
Oh, George sent us an update, so.
Okay.
So for the, yeah, he did give us slides.
Yeah.
Got
Do you
some
wanna pull up the
Slides?
He
He's
said he was
George.
working
No,
on
we're
it.
gonna be here forever.
Did he give a milfoil update?
Yep.
Yes,
It's
he
on,
did.
like, the second to last slide.
All right, hold on. I got too many windows open here. What folder is it in, 9?
I think it's in 8.
Okay.
He sent a link in the email. Status updates.
Okay. Let's see.
An abstention. Due to a scheduling conflict with NBA finals.
Okay, let's see.
Good luck, George.
Are we?
Well, yeah, we don't have to go in order of the agenda, so.
What's the percentage of
There,
fish
there,
caught?
right there.
Yeah, so,
There
so
it
for the
is.
milfoil
There's
pond
all of
update.
that, no
That's good.
update.
All that for that?
But
George,
he's
get
got
on
the-
it, you
He's got
lazy
the
thing.
fishing derby update, which
All right.
we should review.
So for the public, the milfoil update is reached out to the milfoil people, have not heard back. I don't have an update at this time.
We haven't given them a deposit or anything though, right?
No.
Not yet. I wish we had, because then I would feel better about harassing them.
You want me to read through the fishing derby one?
Yeah, we may
All
as
right.
well, we'll do the fishing derby update.
Fishing derby, this is from George, 38 kids registered, 27, 10 and under. We get the demographic profile here. 11 were over 10 years old, the youngest was 2 years old. 25 of the 38 kids caught fish, 77%. And 57 fish were caught, which is pretty good, which is more than one per kid on average. Largest 13.5 inches, most were in the 9-inch range. Bought 175 brook trout and added 12-inch rainbow trout. And then the state contributed 150, so we're 342 fish or something like that. Spent $850 on the fish, $180 on supplies, $1,000 total. That was split from Concom and Rec. And an additional 100 came from the bonus rainbow trouts. So it looks like we paid an extra $100 for those.
Yeah, that was just private donation, not from the funds.
Gotcha. We had a budget of 1,500 between the two, Rec and Conservation, and we spent, it looks like we spent 1,130.
Can I make a recommendation that we send a thank you letter from the Conservation Commission to the police department? Actually, this year, I was a little surprised. I mean, years past, they have been cooperative, but apparently there were two specific policemen that were down there that actually were involved. I mean, they were measuring fish,
They were? Wow.
yeah, they,
Yeah, they did a good job with the traffic and,
yes. And we should at least
yeah, no, that's a very,
acknowledge
very,
that.
very, very good point.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Oh.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay.
And then I think he had some lesson learned
Oh.
for next year to cover as well. So the first point is a good one. So we had it stocked a bit early, and there was a bunch of people that were trying to poach our fish, and We had some hostilities when we asked the people to leave.
We almost
so.
had a throwdown.
Yeah, I had one too, and George did as well. So, for next year, what is being recommended is that we just close, as soon as it's stocked, close the park until after the Derby. So I think rec would be, in support of that as well. George is also recommending we increase the fish count a little bit. And plan for, the purchase of some of the rainbows, as part of the budget.
To increase excitement. Buy more of the larger fish to increase excitement. Sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna
Spoken like a true sportsman.
We'll throw some tunas and some bull sharks in there too, just to spice it up.
Barracuda.
Get catfish out of the river.
He did a really good job with this, though. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody did,
he did, so we'll have to.
Did an amazing
we'll-
job
We'll
with
keep
this. It
this
was
for next
quality.
year. And then, so some other recommendations is, there was, two age groups that were supported,
Fishing
so
signs on
separate,
Albuquerque.
separate sign-up sheets for both. One thing that we should have for any event is we should probably get a better first aid kit.
Yeah.
Now, on that, aren't we liable if we take care of an injury?
Well, if you have,
We can have a first aid kit and
Yeah.
the chaperones can.
and you should have bottled water too, if somebody gets bloody, just pour bottled water on them.
Well, Diane went through the CERT training, and I believe there's something called the Good Samaritan law.
It's covered by the Good Samaritan law.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's covered.
Well, there is the Good Samaritan law, but
I mean, if you get a fish hook through your finger, we're not gonna deal with that. But
Well, that's what I liked about the police presence, so
They can do
that,
it.
that kinda was
Yeah.
a good deal all around,
Good,
you know.
but
Putting a
Kids-
Band-Aid on a kid or
kids
wiping up
talking
blood
to the
is.
police officers.
that's, that's why I tried to get the EMT over there when
Yeah.
was able to run it, because that took care of the problem, period.
Yep.
And,
should have bottled water though, that's what we learned in first aid, if you get a.
yeah, I agree
the
with Joan,
water
bought
on it.
maybe some water for
Not,
the kids.
not a
but
ton of it.
First
but-
aid.
Judy brought it
We had
last
water.
year.
There was water
What-
there.
I guess Judy had
Yeah.
water, right?
Yeah, Judy
Yeah.
did last year. She do it this year too?
Yes.
But the first aid, having a first aid kit,
Well, I think you should have one. You know, basic stuff like bandages and somebody gets,
okay, but we're not liable.
I
No.
said the Good Samaritan Act.
Plus the parents are there too. There's a
Yeah,
chaperone.
there's
with
Yeah,
them.
parents are there too,
we can just make the supplies available and we don't have to.
Yeah, yeah.
have to
They're all there with their parents.
Nobody
Band-Aid
just dropped the
caretaker.
kids off.
Right, right.
And another suggestion was to extend the fence a little. We already extended the area from last year, so we can, and that's a nice section of river, so it's easy to extend it some more, especially with the cleanup we're doing and the work that George and Fred have done for putting in the potential bridges. Include St. Francis in the notifications,
I didn't know we didn't.
and don't put fishing derby signs in Albuquerque. Did we ever get our signs back?
All I have to say about that is, and I have to say it, town agencies don't even have to come to the planning board for a site plan. So I know it says no signs in Albuquerque, but for a two-day event, a town event, I don't see a problem.
It's being addressed.
Good.
It will be
Yeah,
addressed.
I mean, we still gotta abide by the rules, but I mean,
They
at
got
least
pulled.
notify us that
They
they're
got
being
pulled.
removed, so we can.
That's the part that was frustrating to me, is that
They
there's
thought
no
kids stole
notification.
them.
I,
Kids stole them.
I don't, yeah, it's gonna be addressed. The ordinance does clearly state temporary signs are allowed for 30 days, which was considered, but then it has, but not on Albuquerque. No signs are allowed in Albuquerque, which means, even like a Charbonneau sign on the end of the road should not be there. When we do elections, should not be there. So we've got to address that rule. It's just gotta add it by approval of Board of Selectmen and be done with it. But
Good idea, good idea. Okay.
Fabulous.
that has to go to the voters, so it's on the warrant list, or it should be anyway.
But communication would have been good.
Other fishing instruction, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and then George was recommending we can do a quick fishing instruction session. I think that would be good.
Now, there's a program that the state runs called Let's Go Fishing, and it's an excellent program. And what the state does is supply everything and gives the kids, depending on how you set it up, you can have like one day, nothing but instruction, and the second day you can go fishing, or you can do instruction in the morning and fishing in the afternoon. But it teaches the kids how to use spin cast, it teaches how to tie knots. In fact, I got sucked into that. No, I shouldn't say sucked into that.
Yeah,
Volunteer.
I think that'd be great as maybe an alternative thing, but I think George's idea is we have enough of us here.
Yeah, let me contact the Let's Go Fishing and see what's actually involved. I think the only deterrent, if there is a deterrent, is that I think they only say 25 kids per class. And only reason being because of the number of instructors. But let me find out,
And
I
can
mean,
you have
maybe we
volunteer
could work it
instructors?
out so that we could have them do a session like Friday night, the Friday night before the Derby.
Or something.
Friday afternoon.
No,
Let me find out.
that'd be great.
Okay. And see if you can bring your own volunteers to help them. Then you can have more kids. So,
Matt, here, just some quick photos. Got the kids up there. Pretty good turnout. I think that's Fred hauling down the fish to put into the brook.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's that.
Fred's grandson was going crazy.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and then the last update from George is for the Parker Park Bridge updates. So we've surveyed a couple locations, and we can potentially put in 2 bridges down there. Fred and George worked on clearing a couple paths to where those bridges would be. So one would be back in, I think where we were originally talking, right between the community garden and Parker Park. A trail down the backside. They cleared a nice path so we can get the tractor down there, whatever we need to do. And then where we put the bat house in, George also cleared a path down there. There's a good potential bridge location for there as well, so we could actually make a nice loop.
well, that first one where the pile of brushes, is that, I see a cut with a pile of brush in
Yeah.
the garden. It's a pretty steep bank on the side of the
Went right
garden.
along the ridge.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you
Well,
can walk it easy.
I'm talking about for a bridge, where.
Oh,
was
the
that-
bridge?
Was that for a bridge area, or just a path area?
Path.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, I did walk down there, it was nice.
Just as a backup, St. Francis has a Let's Go Fishing program. They had one May 5th. So.
Coordinate that.
Pardon?
We could coordinate that, maybe?
I think that I had talked to the person in charge, and what happened was that somehow the email got out way beyond, they had like 41 applicants. And the good news is it was raining. The bad news is they had to reject all the applicants down to 25.
Yeah.
And what they did is they went over to Dara Pond, and you know how, May 5th, how cold it was?
Yeah.
The kids were catching fish like crazy. It was sunfish.
Yeah.
But that's not the.
That's all they
point.
care about,
They were
really.
going nuts.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so just getting out, So George also did some research into where we were talking about doing a bridge kit before, but he did some research, and we can actually build some bridges for pretty cheap money, leveraging telephone poles. So he got some pricing on that, where we can get them for about $350 for new poles, or $150 for used poles, with about $1,000 delivery fee. I mean, we might be able to just go pick them up ourselves with a trailer and stuff too, but that's cheaper money. So with the funds we have, we should be able to actually build 2 bridges there, and that would include us being able to fund a contractor to build the bridges too. So for the next actions, Actually, he was asking for us to have a motion so that he can go out and get some bids for someone to do the bridges for us. So
Excuse me, did we find out how much money we have in that bridge
it's
account?
like 17,000.
17,000?
Yeah.
So is this the anchoring part of it, or what part?
So it'd be for the overall thing. So we already got some quotes for people to put in the I
Anchors?
forget what they're called, but yeah, the anchors for the bridges. He's talked to a couple people for that, and then he wants to be able to go and put out some bids for some contractors to do the actual bridge construction as well. So it'd cover both of those.
So he wants a motion for that?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we allow George Lash to go out and get bids on contractors for the bridge project.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion by Joan, seconded by Harry. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think this is good. I think we've gotta do this, but there's like a couple things we also have to do, is we have to get the approval from the Board of Selectmen to use the funds. I mean, the funds are there for that purpose, so I don't see that as a big deal. And then we probably, even though it's in our deed that we can build bridges, we probably should talk to the property owner and just let them know that we're
Good
doing
idea.
this.
What about Fish and Game? Do we need to contact them at all?
No, not Fish and
I don't
Game.
think so.
No, they don't have any.
I would contact Agrarian and not Normanton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we wrote it in the lease.
Oh, it's in there.
So it's
Oh, it's
in there.
absolutely in there, but yeah, to just let them know that we're proceeding with the second part of the garden.
John, can we go out to bid for something do we need approval from you first to go out to bid?
Not from me,
Just-
probably
Oh,
from
from
the
the-
board.
just
get a
to,
bid,
I
though?
thought you
Just for the bid?
Just to go out to RFP. You should work
Yeah,
with the town administrator for the RFP.
Okay.
If you're gonna do that.
Are we going out to bid or just going out to get quotes?
Quotes,
just getting
getting quotes.
If you're just getting quotes,
You can get
you can get
quotes.
quotes.
Yeah.
Then it would go out to bid.
No, you can decide based on the best price. but-
Okay. So does he have to get 3?
So what was the motion again?
It's you'd have to follow the purchasing policy, but yeah.
allow George to go out for
Quotes.
quotes
Okay.
on
Yeah.
bridge construction, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Non-binding?
Non-binding.
Then
Second.
seconded by Harry. Any other discussion? Go to vote. Harry?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Jason? And I'm a yes as well, so 7-0-0.
Nice.
Back to the agenda. Okay, next item is Moore's Falls signs. Are those the informational signs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so Joan got us the supplies for it, but we have not put them up yet. I did contact the Eagle Scout. He provided
Oh, you
the
did?
information about the locations.
Okay, good, 'cause I think did I send you the verbiage?
You sent us the verbiage, yeah. Well, you actually made laminated the signs with the verbiage for us.
Well, we had some of them, but okay, let me know if you, but he told you where the placement goes?
Yeah, he
Good,
gave us
good, good.
the rough placement. I believe he's actually back from college now, so we might be able to have him walk, because I don't know if all the posts are still remaining from where the signs were put up, so I might
Couple are
request
missing.
that he do
I believe
that.
that they are. I was just there the other day.
Some of them are missing. I think the one by the cellar holes.
Yeah, so I think we have the signs, we have the plexiglass and stuff. We just have to figure out how we're gonna be able to mount them. Excuse me. So, yeah, we've had them for a few months, so hopefully that's a project we can get on now.
I saw the cleaning up of the storage shed.
Yeah,
I like George's email.
That was disgusting.
You should have seen the mice coming out of that
Oh my God, that was just
One
loud.
don't know.
snake,
The person who
One
put,
snake?
one snake and
A snake?
about 20 mice.
Wasn't a hog
food
nose,
for,
was it?
food for the
No, it's just
snake.
a little guy.
That was disgusting. That's been left there since Matt Lepore. It's really
All right,
bad.
then, the next item is, for, conservation, member nomination for the Economic, Development Committee. Now, Diane, is that something that you're interested in? I know.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, so, we have to,
I thought you were gonna do it.
well, according to, Kim Kleiner, we need to do a formal nomination
Right.
and vote on it. So we
Not for
missed
nothing,
that
though.
step.
I checked the minutes of the other committees, and school board didn't nominate any, or didn't vote on anybody. Rec didn't vote on
We
anybody.
didn't actually vote on it.
Heritage
You
didn't
looked for
vote on anybody.
You're looking for a
volunteers.
volunteer, it's just
You
you're-
looked for volunteers
The
and I
board's making
said
a
I would.
recommendation to the committee, that's who your representative's gonna be.
Yeah,
No.
so yeah, I just said I'll do it because nobody raised their
Yeah,
hand.
well, anyway,
So, yeah.
I nominate Jason.
all right.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Will you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or can I have a backup?
It's right in his wheelhouse.
I'll be your
Good luck.
backup.
Yeah.
I'll be your backup.
Diane will be the backup? All right, cool.
Nice, thanks.
Okay, so do we,
I don't
Well,
think, I don't think,
Fred
you nominate who?
Oh,
For this?
for,
Economic development?
Economic development?
No.
no, I thought we were just
No,
talking.
no, we're talking about economic,
Oh.
economic development only.
Never
Take,
mind.
hold
No
on,
offense, Fred.
hold on.
What were you nominating him for, Harry?
Hmm?
What were you nominating him for?
Fred for the other member of the Conservation
Oh,
to
Commission.
move up.
Oh, we haven't gotten to that.
That's what I thought he was talking about.
no, this
Is it
is
on the agenda?
specifically for the Economic, Development Committee.
We don't need a motion, or do we?
Yes.
Kim
I think we're all
said that we did, so.
Okay, I nominate Jason
think we're all
for
set.
an economic development with Diane as a backup. Who would you like to second?
There you go.
Second?
I'll second it.
That's for economic development.
Yeah.
All right, so the motion is for Jason to be the lead for the Economic Development Committee and for Diane to be second. Any discussion?
You don't have to do a roll call. You can just say.
All
All
in
right,
favor?
so raise of hands if, all in favor?
I'll raise my hand, just make it easy.
Anybody opposed, since we're 6-0-0? No. Did you
7-0-0.
abstain?
No, I'm abstaining. I did
Seven.
not.
Okay,
Oh, you abstained,
so
6-0-1.
7-0-0 for,
Okay. Okay, moving right along.
all right. So I guess Harry's point for nomination for a full-time
Fred,
member.
I second it.
Fred, you wanna be
We
full-time
don't
member?
have George here, but I.
But that's not on the agenda.
It's
It
on the
wasn't
agenda.
on the agenda, so we can't do it.
Can you do, you don't have a
We
thing
can
for
add it, can't we?
any other
what's on the
business?
agenda? The one you sent to me?
No, this was the one that was on it.
Member input, how about under member input?
Is there gonna be a conflict? I mean, you're down a member, right?
Yeah, there
No
shouldn't be a
What's your
conflict, we
position?
just wanna
Yeah,
make
who else
sure our
left?
eyes
I'd be
are.
honored if you take that position.
Who else left?
Oh, Diane
No,
went to
and we have
alternate.
a, just
They haven't filled
Ann.
it yet.
Oh, okay, so we flipped you the alternate, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna make a recommendation to the board to accept your
Yeah,
recommendation.
I make a recommendation to, or you made a recommendation to the, you make a recommendation to the selectmen to move Fred up.
Yeah,
That's your motion. And
So
I
you-
second it.
yeah.
We're good.
There we go.
All right,
All those in
any
favor?
discussion?
Yes, Diane, do you want to be a full-time member again?
No, but thank you for asking.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would be honored if Fred would take that seat.
Oh, he's
All right,
it's on TV.
excuse me, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain, okay, with
6-0.
6-0-1.
Congratulations, Fred.
Thank
You've earned it. You've earned it. You've worked really hard.
Fred moves up. So you're gonna tell town administrator that recommendation?
Yeah, I would send an email to her saying the board recommended it.
What happened to our other new member? Did he not show?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What happened to?
Does anybody
I have to
reach out?
follow up with
He
him.
was approved,
It was
me.
Did he
approved?
go to the selectmen?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah.
All right.
and,
Anybody reach
So
out
he
to him?
might not have known there was a meeting, so I'll have to contact him.
Maybe we should reach out to him.
Yeah,
He was gonna be a great
He has to get
asset.
sworn in first, maybe he didn't get sworn in, that's why he didn't come, or,
Yeah, we might have just not communicated with them.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta keep those people coming in
fresh blood, fresh blood.
Property checks and property maintenance. It's
All right,
moving.
yeah.
Right,
Get-
Harry,
get
fresh
on to
blood?
other
Nobody
business.
should just sit as a member on the committee, right? They should probably circulate through, right?
Right.
Should we
Right.
get rid of us?
No, I just think it should be switched up occasionally. I don't think people need to sit.
I'll go next. I'll go down to if we want to move up George, I'd go down to an alternate.
I think George has got his hands full, so I think somebody should ask him if he's interested. He's on zoning now too, isn't he?
That's
Oh,
the
yeah, it's on
problem.
zoning.
Yeah.
That's the problem with if George was up here and then we have Michael Croto,
Yeah,
they can't vote on things that end up
Yeah.
going to zoning
Yeah,
or
right, which is
planning, so you're kind
annoying.
of down two people.
Yeah, it's annoying.
property checks.
We'll get more.
We need
volunteers.
George to focus on property maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy looked like he was very able to do property maintenance,
Yes, yes.
didn't he?
And we'll even wash his truck for him after he cleans up the shed.
All right, so, property checks and property maintenance, anybody have anything? Any updates on Moore's Falls?
Yeah, the apron entrance into the parking lot, it's really a deep swell there. And, needs, gravel or crushed rock pulling into the parking lot,
I
pulling
noticed
out.
that.
The small car, it's okay with a truck, but a small car, they bottom out. And it, after a rain, there's big mud puddles in there that stay for a week.
It's right at the part where it joins the road,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So is that highway that we need to
We
contact?
can put in a ticket. Yeah. Go the route we're supposed to go, right? John, put in a ticket and see if,
You can put a ticket in requesting highway if they're available, obviously.
Is that who maintains it?
No.
No,
No.
the highway department's not responsible for the conservation
Continental
land.
Paving's right across the street.
I'm sure they're willing to kick in if they have time.
I didn't know who to talk to. Who owns that?
We do. The town owns it,
Where? Which?
Morse Falls.
Moore's
Oh, Moose
Falls,
Falls, yeah, that's
Going in-
conservation.
In that hole, going into the driveway.
I'll say
okay.
this, that we had the same situation at Parker Park and
Yes.
Highway took care of it.
Yes, they did.
So I think the course of action to
Yeah,
go
there's
right
a
now
ticket.
is just
Yeah,
put in a ticket
put
and
a
see if
ticket.
it gets done. If it can't get done, then, we can figure out Plan B.
Okay.
Yep.
To go to Home Depot and get some
It's-
gravel
it
and start
needs a
pouring
lot-
on there.
Needs a
Go
lot of
across the
gravel
street
in
to
there.
Continental, get some
I
gravel.
assume if there's a ticket process, they have to respond to the ticket if they're gonna do it or not do it, so we'll have an
Yeah, when
answer.
when you use the process, it gets routed to highway, they'll respond back to you.
They look at it and verify.
It also goes to the town administrator, so she can be, she can also raise it as an issue too.
Okay.
Again, highway's flat out at this point, I don't know if they have the material, so you have to figure out if that all works, but that's, Kevin Brown will
Yeah.
be able to tell you
And
whether
he'd
they can do it.
know
or not.
what kind of material we need.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
All right, so Parker Park, there was a lot of work done there. Raised the bat house. Fred and George did a lot of clearing of the paths. Jason mowed. We started taking down some of the old electrical fencing through there, so that's looking pretty good. The community garden piece of it, it's looking good. I think there's nine plots being farmed this year, so that's good news. We solved the water issue, being able to fill the water tank and
Yeah.
keep that supplied. So
Good solution.
I think that everybody's in pretty good shape there.
Nice job.
Diane, we would really love for you to stay involved with that to help out with it.
I need a little time off. I
Yeah.
definitely need a little time off.
Yeah.
I had another
Thank you,
point on that. What do we want to do with the she shed, or the shed?
Bring it to Diane's
Being
house.
funny.
Well, now that it's cleaned out,
Yeah, but can we move it down to the
why would you
community
want to?
garden area?
Would that
I
thing
don't
stay
think so,
together?
because it's
I don't
not our
know, but-
land.
It
We
would
could
be nice to have, it would be nice to have a tool shed
Put
down
some
there though.
tools in,
Yeah,
We'd have
It
to
would
check
be
the
nice.
lease.
Yeah, check the.
to have a
list.
share shed.
Yeah,
It was
that-
originally part of my design.
I mean, we could put it on the forks, maybe, put it in the trailer.
Yeah.
You think you'd pick it up, the traffic?
You might wanna just re-examine
What
maybe
is that
getting
shed, like eight
the Boy
by
Scouts
10?
to build us
Right there.
one or.
It's got a
Girl Scouts
ticket
to build this
in the back.
Yeah, we got donated from a builder.
Yeah,
No
on
one
the
knows
size.
Yeah, I think those forks are only like 3 feet long or something, so I don't know. if
I
they'd
bet
be
you think
able
we
to-
could get somebody to do it,
It's
Brad.
just a suggestion. It's no use there.
Maybe just a match.
Well, yeah, well,
And it's, needs some repair. I mean, the roof has gotta be replaced within a couple years. The doors need to be replaced. If we're gonna use it,
but
let's
if you
put it
had it
some,
down at the community garden, I mean, people aren't gonna put their own tools in there. What tools would you put in there?
well, buckets and stuff that they wouldn't put.
I don't know if people would. I think
think
people. It's a community, so I think you might be
Yeah.
able to get people to donate. I mean, it was my intention to get donations. You know how people are always giving stuff away on the Litchfield page, the Litchfield free page. People that are moving that would donate tools or
Rake or
whatever,
shovel or-
rakes or shovels, and just
And they
leave
don't
them
have
down
to
there.
bring it down for small cleanup or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
I can
Think
check
about
out the, and I think it's on the portal somewhere, the lease agreement, just to make sure we're cool with that,
Yeah,
but I
they did.
think
They
it
don't
was in
say we
there.
can't erect anything, and I did mention to them that I wanted a tool shed.
Yeah.
So the parking in the tool shed.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice idea. They are a community down there, and you do see them helping each other
Right.
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's a
haven't
good-
been that
good
involved,
group.
but I'm still on the page and hearing how they're sharing things and
There's also 2 duck houses
Yeah,
that were in
in
there.
great shape. What's the story on that?
they were donated.
But never used?
Right.
So
Do you
we
have a
have-
place to put them? That you could recommend, and I'll put them
Well,
up.
yeah, there's a plate,
If-
yeah.
If you have a place that you'd,
There's water in
I'll
it
put them
right
up with you,
Okay.
if you wanna do that. And there's a bat house in there also.
Another bat house.
Ooh.
A little one though, just a.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. That can go at the garden too. We need lots of mosquitoes.
We know how to put them up now.
I'm very proud of you guys.
You
You've
can
done a
rent
lot at
yourselves
the
out.
garden. It's been nice to see you so
And there's
active.
still some nice, there's some loppers and stuff that are still in good shape there.
Yeah.
We left everything that was salvageable.
Oh, that's another point. The tool trailer, if we're gonna use that, we should start
Did
getting
that
it
get
ready.
approved by the selectmen for the, how did that work with the tool trailer?
It was previously approved by the Board of Selectmen that we were able to use that trailer for conservation.
Okay.
And then, it was then approved, I don't know if it was officially approved, to use it for the CERT team. But no one knew that it was ours to begin with, they thought it was just surplus.
Right, I think that decision was withdrawn until it was decided you guys were gonna use it or not. If you're not gonna use it, they would like to reuse it for cert. If you are gonna use it, I don't know, did you guys have a talk about it last meeting?
Yeah.
So we had a meeting at the fire station, and there was supposedly another trailer that the CERT team was gonna be able to use. Slightly smaller trailer, so my understanding was that if we wanna use it, it's still available to us, but,
Yeah, it was an auction
I mean,
off.
if we're saying we're gonna use it, we should use it, so.
I would put like a shelf, if we don't get that thing cleaned up this, whatever the time period is, you know, within the next few
Yeah,
months of this summer or something like that, then.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to do something, because the old fire station is being used by several groups, and we've got a lot of equipment that's lying around.
We
We
gotta-
gotta protect it.
New pool and
Eminent
chainsaw that
domain.
we saved from the
Yeah.
shed, and, there's a couple, we took them down to the fire station,
Yep.
but I think they're salvageable.
We'll
I'm
give it
not-
to George, he can
Yeah, he said he
reincarnate it in his
Yeah.
workshop.
needs some work, the chainsaw, but, I mean, it's a piece of free equipment, it's already been paid for.
And it sounds like we're gonna rearrange the fire station, so where we're all up front, and the tractor's up front now.
We'll
it
bring
sounds
this
like it's
stuff
gonna-
down.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're gonna move the fire department's boat up to the bay where we keep the tractor now, and then try to open up the back area so that we can have, for us and rec, so, we can have the, tractor in the trailer, set up so that
Yeah.
you can just pull in and you pull it out pretty easy. It's kind of a pain now, cause rec needs
Okay.
it, needs the tractor on the trailer, and we prefer it off because we can drive to most of our
It adds an
properties.
hour to every project.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're
Pulling
trying to
things
come up
out.
with a good compromise there where we can keep it off and, you know, make it real easy for, rec to be able to load the tractor. So the back two, bays, or the back two doors, between that area, there should be enough room for us to lay it out.
So who's gonna make the final decision on what goes out of the shed? Did we just clean it out totally, and then it's vacant, or is that an option, or?
I think what we gotta do is just take a quick look.
I don't think we wanna leave it
Guys,
here, right?
who made a decision on reorganizing the fire station?
It was, we had Steve, Gannon organized a meeting,
On behalf of the Board of Selectmen or on behalf of the Rec Commission?
I don't know who he was authorized to do it.
We
but
had down there-
the fire department was there.
So all the departments were involved?
All of them.
Okay.
Highway was there,
All I really care
fire
about.
chief was there.
Everyone agreed to what you guys are doing, that's fine.
We all agreed.
I still think we should cage the damn building off and make it all separated, but that's just me. Alright,
It's working the way it is, right?
Excuse me?
Is it working the way it is?
It was better last year. The way, the
Yeah.
voting trailer is like taking up almost like 2 bays. The voting trailer needs to be moved back a little bit.
You
It's-
gotta
it's-
move everything every
you
time
got,
you
it's
go
like
down.
Tetris.
So did
You
that
got-
used to be at the fire department? At the new fire station?
No, it used to be it's always been in the town, in the old fire station. But before it was like moved back. It was like, because they only access it once or twice a year.
Okay.
Now it's like in the front bay. And so now we have to put our trailer and the tractor in one bay. And when you wanna use something, you have to pull out the trailer and then pull out
Unload
the
it.
tractor.
But
And
if
then,
they need access to that boat quick, that's probably why they moved it to where it is.
oh no,
No, the
the
voting
boats
The
are-
fire department's all up for moving the boat to where we.
Oh, to where you want it?
we got a
Oh,
good plan
Good.
now. Yeah, we take the back 40, we take the back 40,
it's a pull-through spot too.
pull
so it's
through.
nice.
Oh,
Up,
nice, all right, because it was a fire station.
That's where the old rescue should be.
We'll
Okay,
be right
yeah.
up front, just in case they need it, they'll be able to latch on and go. And the voting trailer will be easy access too. And then there's space for Kevin Brown to leave his mowers in there in the winter.
Perfect.
Yeah, so everybody was, happy with what we discussed. We just gotta implement it.
Yep.
Communication is key.
Yep.
Love it.
Other properties? What I miss, oh, muster field. So, well, Jason, mowed the muster field, and then we also, up on the top field, we did, planted some, grass seed mix, or what's it called, the turf mix?
Conservation.
Yeah, conservation mix.
Conservation mix.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we get some rain and that starts to grow, but that should be a nice field that we should be able to maintain.
Be nice
for
to be
pretty
able to
easily.
get some clover on that, the conservation area that we're not using. The conservation garden that's not being used.
The
Oh,
middle
we
part,
do
For the
have,
community garden. Did we
yeah,
put
so,
some
so
clover in?
it's, pea, I think it's pea
peas
and
and
clover.
oats. Glenn put peas and
Yeah,
oats
but that's
in the
on the
middle.
that's on the actual plots that are being used. I'm talking
No,
about.
in the middle. He put peas and oats in the middle.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, so we had a separate, section, I don't know what it is.
So
maybe
don't
about
mow that?
30 by 60 feet or something like that.
The
where we
center
have that
garden?
mix in it. Yeah, to try
Actually,
to increase
so
the
that's still
nitrogen.
there, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, so we do have to get up there, like where the picnic tables are and stuff, it's pretty high now, so we gotta.
I might be able to mow,
get
my
that.
wife's hiking this weekend, I might be able to mow that this weekend.
Yeah, and I
Why don't
think
you go
I'm
hiking with
actually around, so.
She's going with the
hopefully I can-
girlfriend, she didn't want him to go.
What was that?
So why don't you go with her?
Showing up with her friends.
It's a girls' trip.
Yep. I had one thing on property, maintenance. I took a look at the work order system, and since we began, which is probably, last year was the first full year we had it, we recorded 226 work orders that were completed.
When you guys did the work,
Yep.
not the work orders that you send in.
Nope, the work, when we complete the
Right.
work on our properties, and we're probably, I think we're 80%, logging 80% of them.
It's good you put the hours on there too. It's good to know.
Yeah, we
Who
lost
uses that?
some discipline with it, so we
Who
gotta.
uses that?
It goes in, when you key it in, it goes into basically an Excel spreadsheet. And when we
Somebody
did our
monitors?
budget last year, and we went to the budget committee, you know, we
see.
just,
So they look at that, those numbers.
We have them anyway.
Well, it helps to justify when we're
Justify.
asking
Got
for.
a whopping $1,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So it automatically goes to an Excel spreadsheet?
It all goes, yeah, it's all on the portal. There's an Excel spreadsheet that lists everything we did, when we did it.
Good.
Now we're keeping like track of hours and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
Yeah, works out pretty good.
Too bad you couldn't use it on your income tax
I know.
donations. It might be.
Anything else for, property maintenance? Member input. Harry.
We had the, lecture on the pollinator
Oh,
garden.
yeah, I was in DC. How'd that work?
Good,
And
it was very
apparently
good.
it worked very well. The speaker that we had was excellent.
Yeah, she was very good.
And, she was very informative, much better than the first speaker, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And she had all the facts together. Here's the question. She's starting a new category about, I think it was bird identification,
No, bird, what to plant for birds.
what to plant for birds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would that be something that we would be interested in?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought
If
we
we can get
yeah.
a speaker lined up every 6
How much?
months or whatever,
How
I think
I'd
that'd
like to
be.
make a
Like
motion
100. Go for it.
Go ahead, Harry. Well, Diane was asking how much and, all right.
How much, Harry?
$100.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
So I'd like to make a motion that I start pursuing that for, now, what was it, Joan?
How to attract birds with vegetation and
Veg.
flowers.
How to attract birds
Shrubs
with
and
vegetation
plants.
Yeah.
and see how it goes,
Yeah.
okay?
There was
Yeah, I thought
there was a good
that
crowd.
last one was very well received. We got a lot of good.
Good
feedback.
crowd.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get the same
Yeah.
person.
Well, she said she developed that course, so
Yes.
she would
Yeah.
do it.
So I'm making a motion to go ahead and pursue that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead, Fred can second.
Fred seconds. Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
How
Motion
many-
carries 7-0-0.
How many people showed up at the pollinator one?
25?
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
about 25.
Wow,
25,
okay.
yeah. There was a good
Great.
crowd.
She was a good speaker. And
Yeah.
She kept,
And she was, the thing I liked about her is she was, not commercial. She just said everything is natural, you know, from goldenrod, if you wanna plant goldenrod in your yard. And
Don't knock
natural is God.
dandelions. I remember her saying
that's
that.
my thing, you know.
she was very animated. She was
Yes.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
She-
dandelions, in the 50s, dandelions were perfectly happy, and then pesticides came along, and dandelions weren't good anymore. But
So it's a
dandelions are good.
natural.
They're the bees'
than
first
Tried to use
food,
the
though.
argument with my wife. It's
bees'
not
first
working
food.
too well.
What, you try, dandelions aren't working with your wife? Tell her the bees' first food, that's right.
Let's see here.
Okay,
Bees.
moving right along. I'd like to get supper sometime.
Yeah. All right,
Minutes.
so, Joan, do you have anything?
No,
Jason?
No.
Fred?
No.
Diane? John?
Oh, I did have one thing. I want to give a shout out to George and Fred for the hours of work you guys have been putting in
Thanks.
during the week.
You
It's
guys are
been-
amazing.
Yeah.
is that how you got
Absolutely
that bad
amazing.
cold?
Yeah,
It's good for you to get outside
And
with
we got
that,
the
though,
poison
Fred.
ivy.
yeah.
Yeah, George has poison ivy. He's got poison ivy.
I think the vinegar didn't work.
I got some too.
But their wives are really happy that they're out doing stuff outside as opposed to
And
inside.
Yeah, the only other, only thing I had was for the ATV. We gotta make a request with the police department to see if we can turn that over
Yep.
To who?
to the new police chief, to turn it over to us.
Oh.
It's not
Yeah.
it's never formally
we
been
need it?
transferred to us.
They used it for,
Hey,
we
we
used it for
used it.
something.
Did you?
Down when we did St. Francis,
Oh, yeah, that's
pulling
right.
the tree out
Awesome.
off
That's how
the,
you got it out?
yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
we
leaner.
use it for trail maintenance.
You know what did
lugging
that,
equipment and-
cause that, is bittersweet. There was a
Yeah.
bittersweet that big
Wow.
on it, in the top of the pine tree, and it pulled the tree right over on the
Wow.
path
Unbelievable.
when it was
That's nasty.
vegetated, you know?
Oh, it's gonna rain, folks.
So, we just have to do a letter for that. Yeah, it's getting late, so let's get out of here. The last thing we have is just approval of the meeting minutes.
I have some quick minutes, corrections.
Just change it again in the meantime.
You should put the alternates, like Fred was alternate, George is an alternate at the top there.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, we had a non-public, public from 6:35 to 7:40. At the beginning of that last month's meeting.
You might want to restate that for Matt.
Okay, Matt. We had a non-public,
The other Matt.
Matt Sullivan.
Yeah.
yeah, I am.
Okay.
Matt, out there. We had a non-public on the May 2nd from 6:35 to 7:40, and we had a roll call vote, and I can send you who that was. And on the members in attendance, can you just put on the May 2nd, Fred and the comma alternate, George comma alternate, and that would be fine.
I make a motion that we accept them.
Oh, wait, one more
Minutes.
thing. Sorry, one more thing. On the bottom of the first page, it says, the trackers topic, comma, including, I don't know what the trackers topic meant.
Old fire station usage, so it's gotta be the tractor's topic. I read this and I didn't pick this up.
Yeah.
I guess it's the topic of the tractor included access to the trailer.
Yeah, okay, the topic of the tractor, so that last paragraph, Matt, on the first page, topic of the tractor. So it probably should be,
Is that in the fire station?
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, you done?
Let me make sure, wait a second. Uh-oh,
But Carrie, get it out there.
wait a minute, no, I'm not done. Oh, gee.
Hey Siri, what's the score of the Celtics?
There you go.
Well, George.
Just text George.
Just text George, right?
I'm surprised he hasn't given us an update.
Under Morse Falls signs, it should be Eagle Scout project repair of signs. It says the acquisition of signs, it should be the Eagle Scout project repair of signs. And, under property checks, the commission discussed who picked up the trash. It should be at Morris Falls, or Kurt Schaefer Field? It should be Morris Falls. Oh, who picked up the trash at Morris Falls? And, Matt, I think I'll just send you some of these corrections. Up there also, Ms. McKibben noted that the Conservation Commission picked up 14 bags of trash along 3A on April 14th, April 14th. And
Have you guys ever thought about just using the live update and just sending him suggestions of changes?
I haven't.
but don't you have to approve them?
He has to approve them. You can go into suggestion mode if he gives you access.
Yeah,
You can put your suggestions highlighted. He gets all, he can accept them or deny them.
but doesn't the board have to approve the
The
commission
board has to,
approve the
but
changes?
it's in draft format, I think.
Yeah,
it's an
we should be able to.
Then you would get the draft for the
Yeah,
changes?
if
I've
he,
done that in the past.
Yeah, I've done
On
that.
these?
yeah, if he sends, can just says,
Sends you the
All right,
document.
why don't we hold off on these, and I'll do that, because it's
Okay.
getting late and
we
it's
can
confusing.
approve it, next.
Hold off
next
on the
month.
And then if
May
it's
2nd.
dicey, he can go, have an opportunity to go back and look at it.
Yeah,
I
the edit mode's good, because then we
Especially
can all
meetings
agree
are a
on the
month
edits and
apart, a
just,
month apart.
I think I have
3
that
weeks to
power,
add
yeah.
suggestions for us to
You've
follow
done on the,
before you approve it.
these,
Those are on the portal. So did you ever go onto that, the link that we have? If you click on the link that you get sent out in the email, it
Well-
takes you to the portal. You can get to the minutes from there. And then you might have to hit
where is
edit
it on the new
request
website?
or something. No, you don't need the new website. If you go to the
It's
new
not on the new
website, you go to
website,
the
it's not.
conservation page, the portal is down below.
But can I just do it from the minutes that he sends me?
Yes,
Okay, I'll
Yep.
try that, okay, I'll do that.
it's all the same minutes.
Right.
The new website is taking the draft that we receive it when it comes out.
Okay.
And that gets posted as draft. When you finally approve it, it gets replaced with the new.
So is it on the agenda and minutes section then?
That's where it gets published for the public. For you, it's gonna, he sends out a link that has the doc file on it. That's, you click on that link, you
Yeah.
can get to those minutes.
Okay, okay. I'll do those in July then, because
we
that'd
can
be
do that
less
in July.
confusing.
So say, you guys got a month in between minutes, you don't get a chance to read it until, at least the first set of drafts for a month. You might as well send them feedback right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you all get to see the feedback, and he has to accept it.
Okay,
And then you're finally approving it, that means you've now agreed with everybody's suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's a.
but is he changing it when you send him the changes?
He can, he
But-
could.
He can
They'll
go
have to
back,
accept
he
it.
also has
But you-
time to
but-
go back and look at the film.
I don't care about looking at the film, but I want to be able to have the commission to look at the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody will see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. When's the next meeting?
Yeah, so the next meeting, I propose, July, 11th. Since the 4th is, I don't think anybody will wanna have a meeting then.
July 11th, okay.
John, dude, I don't know what we have for room availability though.
So July 11th, you're lucky, the room is available at this point, so.
Okay, great,
I can move the meeting for you now, so
great.
it gets moved.
July 11th.
Be the selectman's rep who does stuff like all that.
All right, anything else before we wrap up? We do have to sign the purchase and sale, but I don't think we need everybody
No.
there for that. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody second? Diana makes a motion, Fred seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. So next meeting, July 11th.
Okay.
So